Yes, the tailgating going on big time tonight, even in a light rain in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But inside, we're ready for baseball. No need to worry. Game 2 of this road trip, the Reds and the Brewers. And the Reds are trying to get this thing turned around. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. Well, Chris, perhaps last night you hit rock bottom, and it's time to get it turned in the right direction tonight.
Well, I mean, every day you may say the same thing, Tom, because the team has hit rock bottom seemingly on consecutive days going back more than a couple of weeks. They've lost 13 out of the last 14, and in their losses, a below batting average, hardly any runs at all to support pretty good pitching along the way. Not much of a batting average with runners in scoring position. They've scored 1 run or less 6 times in the last 14 games. So you got to figure that sooner or later, this ball club is going to break out of it. After all, I mean, you do have some guys that are experienced veteran hitters in there, and you figure that maybe one of these days, and it might be tonight against right-hander Matt Garza.
Let's talk about the Reds starter tonight, Kiva Sampson. When we first saw him in the Reds rotation, his first couple of starts were pretty good. But now, all of a sudden, his last couple of outings, not so good.
Well, you don't know whether it's a case of Kivas not hitting his spots or maybe the league beginning to catch up on him a little bit, because as soon as video starts getting out there and live scouting reports begin to filter in, other teams, they see him, even though they see him for the first time, they can expect what's coming. They know that he throws a fastball around 92 to 94 miles an hour. It's relatively straight. They know his breaking ball is a curveball, and he sometimes has a hard time getting that over for strikes. And they know that his changeup is still a pitch that he's developing, along with a slider that he doesn't use very much. He's got to be a little more aggressive in the zone, go after the hitters tonight, and not worry about what happens if they hit him, because if he doesn't throw strikes, he's not going to be around very long. Matt Garza, on the other hand, he's a veteran. Well, he's had a good year, a couple of good years. In fact, he once was a 15-game winner. But right now, he's looking at maybe being a 15-game loser after tonight with a .526 earned run average. He went on the DL and came off. He started throwing the ball very well. But the scouts that have seen him pitch lately tell me he's got no life on his fastball. He's not pitching inside, so he just might be ripe for a little Reds hitting tonight.
All right, when we come back, Jim Day's going to talk about his main man. That means he's talking Brandon. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. I'm Jim Day on the field just outside of the Reds dugout. There have been few offensive bright spots in the month of August for your Cincinnati Reds, but Brandon Phillips has been one of them, hitting all over the lineup, doing basically anything they need him to do offensively. And in August, a .313 average, 3 long balls, and 10 runs driven in. His average and home run are the best for any month this season, is 1 RBI shy of his best month this season. And he continues to improve. In fact, he's our subject of our lows never stop improving. Brandon Phillips' last 3 seasons, you'll see in 2013, .261 average. Bumped that up a little bit last year. And so far in 2015, his .287 clip is the highest since 2011, and he is striking out less frequently, 9.5 plate appearances per strikeout. That is the best of his career. There have certainly been a lot of strikeouts in that Reds lineup, but Phillips improving in that department, and many. And as we know, he picks it Gold Glove style on a nightly basis. Been a streaky season series between the Reds and Brewers. Game 2 of a 3-game set on deck. Tom and Chris are next.
Downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but still in the city limits. Brian Price's starting lineup reads as follows, presented by Meyer. Jason Bourgeois leads off in center. Jay Bruce moved into the number 2 hole tonight. Joey Votto at first base. Brandon at second. Frazier at third. Suarez at short. A latter third of Schumacher, the left fielder. Tucker Barnhart behind the plate. And Sampson on the mound. And starting at 4, Milwaukee, apparently they ask him now to be on time when he starts games. And I say that tongue-in-cheek because when he was with the Cubs, whenever he decided the Cubs were going to take the field, that's when they took the field. And that was normally about 4 or 5 minutes late.
So you would say that he's on Garza time?
Yes, he is.
Well, he's making his 24th start of the year on Garza time and not really having a great year as Matt Garza. He has only won 6 games in the 20 decisions that he's had overall. And they certainly are disappointed in the fact that he's given 23 starts and not one more than that. He's now 31 years old from Selma, California. Former #1 draft pick by the Minnesota Twins.
Well, the umpires are just coming out of their locker room.
Well, maybe they're on Garza time.
Well, to find out some information as to why they are just now taking the field. So, both the lineup cards are being exchanged. They literally just walked out the door. Our game storyline brought to you by Elk & Elk. And Jim Day mentioned a second ago what a streaky season series this has been. Very early in the year, the Reds just pounded the Brewers. Won 4 of the first 5. Outscoring them by 15 runs. But now all of a sudden, after the Brew Crew won the finale of that first series here, swept the Reds 3 in a row in Cincinnati, and then won the opener here last night. And we talked about when they came into Cincinnati, their bats were as hot as any team in the league. Last night they win the series opener this go around here in late August, 5-0. Any way to explain the massive drop-off of Matt Garza? Because this guy one time was thought to be a pretty good pitcher. Never a great pitcher, but a good pitcher.
Well, he had a couple of very good years in which a year he won 15 games, lost 10. That was when he was with the Tampa Bay Rays in 2010. And he's always been a hard fastball pitcher with a hard breaking ball. And Garza has lost a lot of life on his fastball, and that's really the bottom line right there. He once penciled a no-hitter in 2010 against the Detroit Tigers, and a guy that would normally throw anywhere from 92 to 94 miles an hour with a little bit of life. There's not much going on with that. There's a slider and a curveball. Rarely throws a changeup. So what he's got is essentially fastball breaking ball.
All right, so here we go. Jason Bourgeois digging in. Garza gets a sign from Jonathan Lucroy and delivers inside, ball 1. We're underway. And Bourgeois, a little pop-up into shallow center field. And how about that? Maybe Lady Luck shining on the Red Legs tonight. So a good way to get it started here for Bourgeois and the Reds.
Little jam shot right there. You're not really sure. In this ballpark now, the outfielders play rather deep, especially that center fielder. He's not really projected to be a long-term center fielder, more like a corner outfielder, either left or right. But right now, Domingo Santana, young guy that came over in a trade from Houston, is manning center field, and he's more in there for offense than defense.
Talked about last night, Santana coming over in that deal for Carlos Gomez. Jay Bruce in the driver's seat, brought to you by Kia when he faces this right-hander. 9 of 27. 5 extra base hits. 3 doubles, a pair of home runs.
And maybe that's why he's been moved up to the number 2 slot in the lineup.
Got a good rip of that pitch. 93-mile-per-hour fastball. 1 ball and 1 strike on Jay. Reds a very quiet night again offensively last night. Now we showed you the note a moment ago. Over the last 14 games, they've been held to 1 run or less 6 times. And you saw the average number of runs per game during the 14 games, 2.3. What would that number look like if you took out the 12 against the Detroit Tigers, their only win over the last 2 weeks?
Of course, 10 of those runs came in 1 inning.
That's right.
This is the first time all year that Jay Bruce has been in the number 2 slot in the batting order.
Down to third base line, a little roller. And Bourgeois is going to be held at third. Tell you what, makes you wonder just looking at these first two hits, if indeed Lady Luck is not smiling on him tonight. A bloop single and now just a little roller up the third baseline.
Jay Bruce chases the ball that looks like it's a couple of inches outside, and when you know you got the infield turned around, he finds a spot between the third baseman Herrera and the bag. He thought he hit the ball hard a couple of times last night, did Bruce. A hard fly ball to left field, a hard ground ball to second baseman, and actually was called out to end the ball game on what he thought was ball 4 or ball 3. So maybe a little payback in order, and the Reds are getting a little bit of advantage here going.
Well, now Joey Votto, the batter, with runners at second and third and nobody out, and Votto down a strike. Votto had a typical Votto sort of night last night. Was on base 3 times. That's the good news. He had a single and walked twice. The bad news is, in a big situation in the 8th inning with 2 on, and the Reds down 3-0, he bounced into a double play, and he also was thrown out trying to steal third base with Todd Frazier at the plate in a 2-0 game. Now he's behind here 0-2. So I guess if you're a person who really dives in the numbers, 1 hit and 2 at bats, on base 3 times, good night.
Well, you boil it down, individual numbers good, team numbers not so good.
And it's been key moments where the Reds have not been so good.
Well, he's choking up a little bit more right here, and
that strike 3 called to Votto. He strikes out on 3 pitches with second and third and nobody out.
Well, he disagrees with the call by the home plate umpire Dan Bellino. A little comeback fastball, and if any part of that ball is touching the plate, it is a strike, and Bellino rings him up on 3 pitches.
It is rare Votto is ever wrong when we show you the Fox tracks. But as you said, Chris, that Fox tracks,
there's a margin of error there.
Yes, there is.
I mean, nothing is 100% accurate. The umpires are not, the batters are not, and the Fox tracks is not 100% accurate, you know, right down to the millimeter. But sometimes you have to ask yourself, is it close enough to take a hack at?
Well, especially with 2 strikes in the at bat. Breaking ball, strike 1 to Brandon Phillips.
And we've seen Votto to the point where, you know, he can almost foul a ball for ball at will. So now Brandon batting cleanup. That's his second favorite spot in this lineup, or at least the second most at bats in the cleanup spot.
That slow breaking ball, and just like in the at bat against Votto, it's quickly 0-2 now to Brandon Phillips. Second and third, nobody out before the strikeout of Joey, and now 0-2 on Brandon. Phillips is normally very good in these situations of at least putting the ball in play. See, with runners in scoring position, Phillips, the best hitter on this Reds team. And look at this, little dribbler through the right side. Nice play by Jeanette, and a real nice play by Jeanette to throw out Brandon. But the run does score, and the Reds have a 1-0 lead.
Well, what a play by Scooter Jeanette. Not only does he save a run by keeping his ball from going into the outfield, but he actually gets an out at first base. He took a little something right out of the Brandon Phillips page book.
Took the word right out of my mouth. He's been doing that to guys for the last 10 years.
Scooter's like, hey, how does it feel?
All right, so Todd Frazier with a runner at third, 2 outs and a run home. And Frazier bunts it up the third baseline. How about this? And the Reds have a 2-0 lead on a stunning bunt single by Frazier with 2 away here in the first inning.
Wow, that's a shocker right there. But a bigger shocker is why the third baseman, Elian Herrera, decided to touch this ball. It goes up in the air and it's got some spin on it. And it's going to start rolling towards foul territory. And he touches it in fair territory. And, of course, at that point, it becomes a fair ball. And Frazier picks up an RBI, and the Reds have scored 2 in the inning.
Frazier had 1 bunt hit in his entire career until 2 weeks ago. That was in 2013. He now has 3 bunt hits in the last 12 days. Well, we have seen some of the most fundamental plays in baseball over the last 2 weeks that could not have been misplayed any worse. From an infield pop-up, the infield fly rule with a runner on base trying to score, to a play like that.
Well, when you're watching 4th and 5th place clubs, you have a tendency to see more of those than you do when you're watching championship clubs.
Eugenio Suarez, 9 home runs, 35 runs batted in. Has Frazier at first with 2 outs.
Now remember that Garza has a problem throwing to the bases. He hates to throw to the bases. The only guy in the league really is probably worse than that is John Lester of the Cubs. So anytime he gets a ground ball back to him, he almost runs it over, throws it underhand of the first baseman. He doesn't like to throw to first base very much. And of course the Reds like to run a little bit when they can. And I saw Todd Frazier a couple of pitches ago really take a long lead, kind of a little running lead like he has done, especially earlier in the season, to get some stolen bases. Probably not here on a 2-2 count, but worth keeping in mind for later.
Runner takes off, and it is in time to cut down Frazier, and that'll end the inning. But the Reds scored 2. And Kivas Sampson will get the ball when we return.
Bounce back, and might be a little bit of a change of philosophy early on. You look at his first start compared to his last couple and the runs he's given up. Last 2 starts, he's given up 6 runs and 3 hits in the first inning. Talked to him last night about how he'll attack it tonight. And he said, guys, that he is going to be much more aggressive early on. And I'm not sure if you're going to see him shaking off Tucker Barnhart much. He said, whatever sign he puts down there, I'm going to throw it, and I'm going to be aggressive and not wait for the 2nd or 3rd time through the lineup to mix up his pitches. He's going to go after it early.
That's great stuff, Jim Day. Thank you very much. Jim, I want to get back to you in a minute about Joey Votto. Because as part of your regular pregame routine, I know you check in and talk with a number of the Reds, especially if something happened the night before. And I wanted to have you share your conversation you had with Joey. We were wondering if he was injured last night after he stole second base. Then a surprise, I think, to everybody except for the Brewers. He took off for third and slid in about 10 or 12 feet short of the third base bag as it's 1-1 on Jeanette. What's the latest, Jim Day, with Joey Votto?
I went up to him today and I said, Joey, did you hurt yourself last night? And he looked me straight in the eye and said, no, I did not. So obviously it's not bad enough for him to be out of the lineup, and he doesn't want anyone to fuss over him. So it was basically, no, I am not, even though he was definitely in some discomfort last night.
All right, Jim Day, thank you. Always all over. Scooter Jeanette with a count of 1-2 and Sampson delivers, and it's dropped into center field. A 2-strike base hit by Scooter Jeanette. Got to keep an eye on him. He has 10 stolen bases in 11 tries. And let's take a look at the Brewers starting lineup under their manager Craig Counsell. They're 9 games under 500 against Counsell. That's a far cry better than where they were when he took over. Lucroy coming up. Ryan Braun in right. Lind at first. Chris Davis in left. Santana homered last night. He's in center. Herrera, Segura, and Garza the latter third. Lucroy had 1 hit, 2 hits and 4 at-bats last night. His first hit is where I was trying to go. Knocked in a run in the first inning after Jeanette had drawn a walk against Raisel Iglesias. Jeanette scored all the way from first on a double into left center. Strike one.
Boy, Lucroy has pretty much perfected the art of stalling while inside the box. So he is okay with MLB rules, but he certainly isn't with the spirit of the idea of speeding the game up.
Well, that would mean he's joining the guys in the on-deck circle, because they are 2 of the most deliberate batters in all of Major League Baseball, with all the time they spend in between pitches. I'm just stunned that baseball's letting this slide. I can't begin to tell any of you how important it is. And Chris, you and I were there with Commissioner Rob Manfred before the season began. I mean, there are 2 things that he could not be more serious about as it pertains to this game, which he oversees. And that would be the pace of play and getting younger fans to be more involved in baseball.
Well, if you just watch Lucroy, everybody has their own little series of things that they go through, and he loosens his gloves and tightens them back up again, and you have to stay in the batter's box. So actually staying in contact with the line right there is technically in the batter's box. That's interesting we bring it up right here with Kivas Sampson on the mound, because in his first bad start at home, I think it was against the Kansas City Royals, Kivas was very slow and deliberate between pitches. And when I went to talk to him a couple of days after his start, first thing he said to me is, asked him, well, what'd you learn? And he said, well, I got to be quicken my pace up more. I was way too deliberate and way too slow. So he is on a mission to be quicker, but right now he's running into a roadblock.
There's ball 4, and Kivas digging himself a little bit of a hole. I want to ask you something, Chris, about having contact there with the batter's box. Could Sampson pitch the ball while he's standing there on the edge of it?
If the umpire allows him to do so, but he probably would not allow him to do that.
But it's within the rules.
Technically, the ball is in play, and if he's in the batter's box, yes.
I mean, just watching him, and now Braun, we get the same thing. You get the batting gloves. Now we're getting the whole deal where he picks up the dirt with each hand. He steps back out. Now he's holding up his hand, asking the umpire, give me a minute here.
Digging himself a little foothold.
I'm going to head downstairs to the umpire's room tomorrow before the game and ask him about that.
Well, you know, I think it's gotten more deliberate as the season has gone on, because early in the year it seemed like everybody was on board, and then hitters began to produce at less level than they did last year, and they're making more outs and they're making them quicker. So that's why they have deliberately tried to slow it down. And I've talked to a lot of coaches around the league that seem to agree on that point, that, you know, hitters don't want to make outs, and they're making them so fast that they're simply not ready. Meanwhile, pitcher throws strike one. He's ready to pile in another pitch, and you don't even know the count yet. You're not figuring out the situation, and that's why guys are beginning to take more time as the season goes on. Of course, you could blame it on Velcro, too.
2 balls and no strikes after a visit to the mound by Tucker Barnhart. And it's 2-1.
So after a pitch that the batter does not swing at or foul off, he has to stay in the box. And I mean, technically, Braun is in the box.
Two on, nobody out. Reds lead 2-0, but Milwaukee threatening here in the last of the first inning.
Two pretty good fastballs right in a row there by Kivas. The first hit he gave up to Jeanette came on a 1-ball, 2-strike changeup. He went changeup, fastball, and then changeup again with 2 strikes. And at this level, sometimes it's better to keep the hard stuff late and the real slow stuff earlier in the count. He has not seen his breaking ball yet. Might be a time to drop that on him, though. Waste one down in the dirt.
Gone swinging is Braun. 1 out.
Well, we've always known that Kivas Sampson has plenty of arm, and this one at 94 miles an hour, he gets Braun swinging and missing for his first strikeout, and that is our flamethrower, brought to you by Cholula. Nothing like a first inning Cholula flamethrower.
So now Adam Lynn, left-handed batting first baseman. 280 hitters, 17 home runs, 69 runs batted in for Lind. This guy's been a nice pickup during the offseason by the Milwaukee Brewers. It's been sort of a graveyard down there at first base for the last number of years since Prince Fielder left.
Yeah, it has been. But, you know, if you only watch him when he plays against the Reds, you think he ought to be winning the Triple Crown. I mean, because he absolutely kills the Reds.
Look at those numbers with runners in scoring position. Nearly a .350 batter. 1 ball and 1 strike on Lynn.
Last 8 games against the Reds, or 11 games this year, a .381 average. In the last 8 games, .452 with 10 ribbies.
Well, Kivas trying to slow him down here, and now the 1-1 pitch. Lined into center field. That'll be a hit and an RBI. So the Brewers get 1 back after the Reds scored a pair as Lynn knocks in his 70th run this season.
Well, he threw a really good pitch on a 2-2 count to Ryan Braun, and then he comes right back on a 1-1 pitch, and you elevate it. Thigh high, outer part of the plate. I mean, a hitter like Adam Lynn is simply going to hit that ball right on the screws more often than not. So with Sampson having plenty of arm, now he has to find a way to dot the outside of the strike zone.
Here's Chris Davis. Told you Davis has been on fire here in the month of August. Tied with Carlos Gonzalez of the Colorado Rockies for most home runs among all National Leaguers with 10. And he leads all National Leaguers in runs batted in this month. One better than Cespedes, Ryan Zimmerman, and Kyle Schwarber. Young man from Middletown High School in Cincinnati. Those Cubbies have been cooled off. They went out to a big trip to San Francisco and Los Angeles. They won the first game in San Francisco, lost the next 2, lost in LA while the Giants beat the Cardinals last night. And all of a sudden that wild card lead for the Cubbies is down to 4.5. It was at 7.5 3 days ago.
Don't you fully expect it all to get real tight right down there to the last week of the season?
Oh, yeah. Tell you, if the Cubbies were to lose tonight and tomorrow night and the Giants win, it'll start getting a little bit tight when we show up in Chicago Monday night. There's something about that ballpark. Things start getting tight. Weird things start happening.
You're right.
Because you know there won't be an empty seat in that joint Monday night.
Or Tuesday.
Yeah, or Wednesday afternoon. They'll be moving. They got a real good crowd here tonight. Really good crowd. There's a tapper down to third. Frazier will go to the bag and get the out in front of a sliding Lucroy. 2 away. Let's take a look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. Frazier just made that play. Next to him, Suarez on the left side of the infield. Phillips and Joey on the right. Schumacher, Bourgeois, Bruce left, center, right. After Pena to start last night, Tucker Barnhart behind the plate tonight. All right, one more out to go now. And it's Domingo Santana. He hit a long home run here last night. Only 19 at bats since coming over from the Astros and then being brought up from the minor leagues for Santana as a Brewer. And of those 4 base hits, 3 of them have gone for home runs. .93-mile-per-hour fastball, a called strike, and it's 1-2.
Looks like early on that Kivas has begun to trade in that curveball in favor of his slider. He's throwing more harder breaking pitches tonight. He's always had both pitches, but when he first came up here and started pitching in the major league level, we noticed that he threw more curveballs. That's a pitch that sometimes is more difficult to get over for a called strike. Also, when you're ahead in the count, late in the count, a slider might be a better strikeout pitch.
2 on, 2 out, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Came with a fastball there at 95. That's his best one of the night.
Yeah, you know, it was also a good location. Came right in on him. One thing this young man does not lack is the guts to come right after the hitters. I mean, he comes right after you. And that fastball right there was a challenge fastball to Santana.
So be Sampson's 29th pitch of this opening inning. And with 2 on and 2 out, it's a 2-2 pitch to Santana. And once more, fouled back out of play on another fastball. Got him with a breaking ball, and that'll end the inning. A run, 2 hits, 2 left, end of 1. 2-1, Reds in front. Santana, Braun, left, center, and right. Herrera and Lind on the corners. Segura, Jeanette up the middle. Garza and Lucroy, the battery under manager Craig Counsell. Counsell, of course, replaced Ron Renicky. And it wasn't too long thereafter where Don Mattingly hired Ron Renicky to be his third base coach. We just saw Ron in town with the Dodgers a few days ago. See the numbers on Counsell. Longtime major league player, grew up here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. His father worked for the Brewers.
Well, you've been very close to the Counsell family for a long time. You've known Craig personally for a long time. In fact, there was some word that when he got the managerial job here that you might be named to the coaching staff.
Yeah. Well, that's according to my dad, right?
Well, that may have been where I heard it. Yeah,
I think that was where you heard it. I know his wife better than I know him.
You want to explain that?
I tell him all the time she's a lot more fun to be around than he is. No, he's got a great family. I mean,
they say the same thing about Polly.
Yeah, well, that would be true as well. And there's a base hit into center field. Right back where it came from, off the bat of Eugenio Suarez.
Boy, is that a good bit of hitting right there. I mean, that was a pretty good looking curveball that Garza drops on Suarez. I mean, low on the outside corner. I think that's the last thing in the world Garza ever expected, was to see that ball come back at his ear. That's not exactly a confidence builder when you snap off a good hook and a guy brings it back up the middle about 100 miles an hour.
So Suarez aboard to begin the inning. It's already the 4th hit for the Reds. Now, in fairness to Garza, not one of the hits the Reds had in the first inning had any hair on it. That's by far the hardest hit ball the Reds have had tonight. Bourgeois just had a little flare into shallow center. Jay Bruce hit a ball off the end of the bat that just trickled up the third baseline for a double. And then Brandon Phillips' ball, he was thrown out. Frazier had a bunt single. But that one was stumped. So is that one. Down the right field corner for Schumacher. On his way to third is Suarez. They're going to hold him there. Jim Riggleman started to wave that hand and thought, well, with nobody out, why take a chance?
Boy, that ball was hit hard by Schumacher. I'll tell you, it looked like it was going to go right at Adam Lind. He had a hard time getting out of the way. The ball was hit so hard. A rocket shot right down the first baseline, holding the runner close to the bag. He's right there. Kind of took a step to his right and got to Olay it.
All right, second and third and nobody out. IGS bringing the energy the last 9 starts. Tucker's starting to swing a much better bat. 12 hits in his last 33 trips with 4 doubles and a couple of runs batted in. And he can add to that RBI total right here and right now. I mean, the Milwaukee infield outside of a ball hit right at Alien Herrera at third base. They're conceding the run. So you just put it in play back up through the middle. That'll score one and move the other. No balls and 2 strikes. Oh, and to the count on Barnhart. Breaking ball hooked foul. Nice play made by that fellow right there. Pretty agile. Big left-hander went out there to get it.
Reds look like they've been on Garza's curveball. He's got a slider and a curve that he uses as off-speed stuff. And the line drive up the middle by Suarez came on a curve. That last rocket down the right field line foul was on a curve off the bat of Barnhart. So probably coming with something hard here.
Jam shot roller to the first baseman. And that'll drive in the run. Well done by Barnhart. Not only scores Suarez from third, but he advances Schumacher down to third. And the Reds with a 3-1 lead.
Boy, the little things right there, just putting the ball in play. You had the infield playing back. I'm glad they remember how to give high fives.
Yes. Let's see if Kiva Sampson can pick up his first major league RBI. The infield is in. Kivas 0 for 6. He has one sacrifice. Well, the Brewers are on the hook for quite a while on Matt Garza. And if indeed, this turns out to be, here's a bouncer to the shortstop, and they easily cut down Schumacher at the plate. 2 away in the inning.
The contact play means if you're on third base and the batter puts it in play, you run. And you take the chance that it's going to be maybe a ball that the infielder has to take a step or two to go get. And that time it went right at the shortstop, so an easy play at the plate as he nabbed Schumacher. That is not Schumacher's fault. That is probably a play that is predetermined.
All right, runner at first, 2 away in the inning and a run home. There's Bourgeois, who started things in the Reds' first inning with that base hit. Just lofting one over the shortstop's head in front of the center fielder.
I don't like that contact play often because with the infield in, even a step or two either way, the infielder has so much time to throw the runner out the plate. And that would have scored a runner from third, but it will not score one from first. So that runner at third, 90 feet away, is precious cargo out there. And the other, but of course the Reds are been scuffling for runs, and they thought they'd try to push the hammer down when they get a chance.
Now Jay Bruce. He hit that roller up the third base line that turned into a double. And Bruce scored the second of 2 in the Reds' first inning. Milwaukee scored one in the bottom of the first. The Reds get that run right back, and they're trying to get another if they can get a 2-out base hit from Jay. Sampson out at second base, and Bourgeois perfect 2 for 2 tonight. After that, liner to center field leads at first.
Baseball is such a mind game. Jay Bruce, last 23 games, is batting 100. And he's the guy the Reds rely on to be a left-handed enforcer in that lineup.
There's a wild one in the dirt. And the runners advanced on to third and second base.
So after the game last night, he and Don Long had a conversation about his at-bats. And even though he ended up 0 for 3, he had a couple of flyouts to left field and a ground out, and then eventually a strikeout to end the ball game. Bruce did. So he was 0 for 4. But he thought that he hit the ball well on a good pitch to left field his first time up. He hit a pretty good pitch on a hard shot to the second baseman for an out in his third at bat. And he thought in the fourth at bat, last out of the ball game, he was rung up on a pitch that was outside. So even though you're 0 for 4, you're looking for something to feel good about. And that's where you begin to build with baby steps and trying to maybe get him back the way he was earlier in the season.
Two and 0 to Jay Bruce. In the air, deep right center field, and Bruce plays long ball. He was there earlier in the year. And I mean, they are just knocking the uniform off Garza tonight.
The Reds have not been able to do this to Matt Garza very much at all since he put on a Brewer uniform. I mean, that's just a fastball. Number 3, as you see on the outer part of the plate. If Jay Bruce puts a ball on a tee and wants to hit the ball as far as he can, that is exactly where he would put it. And I mean, he hit that ball a ton.
Reds already with 6 runs through the first inning and 2/3 against Garza. Jay Bruce, home run number 19. That's his second home run this entire month. And RBI 70, 71, 72. He's closing in on Todd Frazier for the team lead. That gives you an idea about how cold Frazier has been since the All-Star break. And we've documented how Frazier and Bruce both are guys the Reds count on to drive in runs. Really nobody's driving in runs, and that includes Votto. Of course, he's walking 3/4 of the time. And they're just not scoring. Because teams have pitched around Votto regularly, knowing that the other guys right now have just not been able to knock people in. Two-one pitch. No, starting to talk about Garza. I mean, if you're a Brewer fan, and I mean, look, we've talked about contracts that every team gives out and that they're locked into. Some good, most not good. Reds are locked into some very long-term deals of their own. But this is one that has not gone well at all for the Brewers, and they have him on the hook for 2, maybe 3 more years.
2 more years with an option after that. It was a 4-year, $50 million contract when he originally signed it.
When they got all of 8 wins out of Garza last year and 163 innings. And here this year, 140 innings with a month to go and an earned run average after tonight north of 5.5.
The challenge for Garza is really how to figure out how to pitch when your fastball's 91 instead of 94. And there's a 94-mile-an-hour hitter right there. He has had 8 straight seasons at one point in his career where their earned run average under 4. But his last 2 starts, and including this start tonight, have just been really miserable results.
Nice piece of hitting there by Joey. Shoots one into left field. Boy, and the Bluebirds are coming out loud here in Milwaukee. That is 8 base hits for the Reds. That's 3 more than they had during the entire game last night.
Well, no activity in the Brewer bullpen, so Craig Counsell is evidently not going to burn his bullpen up trying to save Matt Garza's earned run average.
Hey, Counsell doesn't age a day. He looks the exact same as he did when he walked out of Notre Dame and first broke into the big leagues. Well, he made a name for himself playing with the '97 Florida Marlins.
Always had a really unusual stance and setup. And I have not seen him hit any fungos. I wonder if he hits fungos out of that stance.
One ball and one strike. Fastball high and tight on Brandon, who grounded out, but he knocked in a run. Doesn't sound like much, but if you're just tuning in, that's when the Reds had second and third and nobody out. Garza struck out Joey Votto and got ahead of Brandon at no balls and 2 strikes. And then Brandon just fought off a pitch in on him and rolled one to the right side. Was thrown out on a great play by Jeanette, but it knocked in a run. I mean, Garza is having a miserable time out there on the mound. This will be his 48th pitch of the night, and we're 2 outs into the second inning. Well, if there's ever a night for Kiva Sampson to lock things down, tonight is the night. Here's ball 4 to Brandon. Well, now the bullpen will get started. Coming up later on, we'll have our Miller Time moment brought to you by Miller Lite. Rick Kranitz, a pitching coach, will come out and visit with Garza. The right-hander Thornburg, Tyler Thornburg, cranking it up into Milwaukee bullpen. And here comes Frazier. Garza made no friends when he walked out the door with the Chicago Cubs. You may remember they traded him to the Texas Rangers after he had pitched for the Cubs for a couple of years and had a couple of decent years for them. They were bad teams. And after he walked out the door, he had made the comment that Jeff Samardzija better get out of town because the Cubs are never going to win, and you pitch good games and they're not going to score enough and they're not committed to winning, and all kinds of things after he left. And of course, his fate would have it now. The team that Garza pitches for, signing as a free agent, staring straight up the ladder of the standings in the National League Central, looking at the Chicago Cubs. Nice play by Herrera, and the inning is over. Shea Bruce flexing his muscles here in the second inning. A 3-run long one in a 4-run inning, and a 6-1 Reds lead. Over 400 mobile and connected devices with MLB.TV Premium. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. All right, Chris, now you're Kiva Sampson, and you talk about this frequently. The focus to pitch as though it's a tight game. We're only in the second inning, so there's a long way to go. But the Reds have broken out the lumber tonight. 6 runs should win you a game.
Well, it should, and he can't just sit back and throw fastballs for strikes, but you have to throw strikes. The one thing that he has going for him here is he's going for 7, 8, and 9 in the order. So just come right out there, pepper him strikes, and don't let them walk their way back into this ball game.
They fell behind. Alien Herrera, 2-0, delivers a fastball strike. Herrera, Segura, and we'll see if Garza bats. More than likely, he'll hit if they could find a way to get him probably through another inning or two, so you wreck your bullpen for quite a while. Because for both of these teams, day in and day out on the mound, you just don't know what you're going to get.
Well, you're right, but you're only a couple of days away from being able to expand the roster. So if you need extra arms, especially those arms that you would use in a blowout game, they're only about 48 hours away.
Herrera getting a chance to play regularly and trying to make the most of it. Swung on and fouled out of play. Brewers do get an off day on Monday before the Pirates come to town for a 3-game series, and they'll turn right back around and come to Cincinnati next weekend. That'll be a long trip for the Brewers. Cincinnati, Miami, Pittsburgh. That's just what you talked about a moment ago.
The only thing, really the only way the Brewers are getting back into this ball game is with some help. And that help coming in the way of a base on balls or two.
You could almost read the face of Brian Price there, just miffed at how you have a 5-run lead and you're facing the bottom third in the order and you walk the first guy in the inning.
Even a good poker face can't hide that.
No. Not only Tucker Barnard, but you saw Kiva Sampson looking out towards second base. That's where Brandon Phillips was trying to give him some words of encouragement. One and 0 on Gene Segura, the Milwaukee shortstop. And there's a strike to even the count. Segura went through the awful year last year. You may remember early in the season, he was hit in the head by his teammate swinging a bat, Ryan Braun. Then Segura and his wife had tragically lost a child. It was a terrible ordeal. The couple, he came back, played the rest of the season near the end of the year, and the couple had another baby during this offseason and trying as best as one can to move forward. He's played regularly this year, stayed healthy this year. And the Brewers are probably wondering, what kind of player is Segura going to turn out to be? He was a really good player 2 years ago.
Well, you're right. He was an all-star in 2013. Hit .294, 12 home runs. So he showed some speed and some power. He made a lot of flashy plays in the field. They figure he's going to be the shortstop for a while. But remember, he's only 25 years old. And already has 4 years in the major leagues.
It's a big pitch here by Sampson. This is 3-2 on the number 8 hitter after you just walked the 7th hitter. And Segura did him a favor. That was ball 4. Kidding. That ball would not have crossed the plate in the air, or it would have been close.
And this gives you a little bit of an insight as to why Kivas Sampson has been struggling, and also why Gene Segura has not reached the kind of numbers that they expect him to do given his level of talent. You just cannot expand the strike zone like that.
Ball hit very hard into deep right center field. That will one-hop the wall. They're going to hold the runner at third, and here we go. This could be a long, wild night of baseball tonight.
Well, he chases ball 4, but he gets a pitch pretty much down Broadway on the makeup pitch. And he gives that a line drive over the head of the right fielder. That's a pretty good bit of hitting. Shows you the power that Segura has. So now the Reds will bring the infield in, at least the corner infielders in. Now they're going about halfway as the pitcher Matt Garza steps to the plate.
Be interesting to see, Chris, based on what you said just a moment ago when the Reds were at the plate. Garza, well, with the infield back, it's a very different set of circumstances. But for example, on a one-hopper, two-hopper to the third baseman, is a runner coming down the line on a contact play. Third base a little bit different than the shortstop with the second baseman with the infield drawn in. 0-2 to Garza.
Well, two things really, Tom, is I'm not making any outs on the base paths ahead of my leadoff number 2 and number 3 hitters in the lineup.
Garza out of there on strikes. One away in the inning.
Two birds are following him.
Yes, they are. Well, right now you can tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag #OhioDataStrongFan. You might see yourself on television. Might put your picture up. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Here's Scooter Giannetti, singled into center field and scored the only Brewer run in the first inning. Reds scored 2 in the first, 4 in the second. Big couple of hitters early in this game coming up for Sampson, and how long he plans on staying in it. Ball 1. He's fallen behind every batter in the inning with the exception of the pitcher Garza.
Yeah, just from a pitching standpoint, it doesn't look like he's really getting out there and staying behind the ball and finishing his pitches. He's falling off towards first base too soon. A little better that time. And that's really the wording that a lot of pitching coaches use. Just stay behind the baseball.
Good breaking ball there, and a really nice block on that breaking ball by Tucker Barnhart.
Well, Tucker's anticipating this ball in the dirt right away, and he knows it's a breaking ball, gets his whole body over there, and there's no way that baby's getting by him.
One ball, 2 strikes on Scooter Gennett. Runners at second and third with 1 out. And now the count even at 2-2. Well, the total number of pitchers that each of these pitchers has thrown and continues to throw through the first 2 innings of the game, we will see the bullpen early and often here tonight. 2-2 delivery. We'll do it again. This will be the 54th pitch of the night coming up for Kivas Sampson. And a lot of speculation as to whether David Holmberg, who like Sampson has struggled of late, whether he will pitch on Monday night, the opener of the series against the Cubs at Wrigley Field. Another foul ball, or do the Reds bring Michael Lorenzen up to the major leagues to start that night?
Or he's been dealing since being sent back down to Louisville. One thing for certain, there are a lot of innings for the Reds to cover, and they have options of a lot of different pitchers to plug in.
Guess Robert Stevenson threw the ball well last night. 4 innings, did not allow a run. He's had some issues with his wrist, some cramping in that wrist, which landed him on the disabled list. There's a base hit in the left field. They'll bring in one. They'll hold Segura. And now breaking for the plate as the ball gets away. That's bad. Really bad.
Boy, oh boy. You're right about fouled up fundamentals. A base hit to left field. They're going to score 1. The man from third comes in. Now the third base coach is going to hold up the trailing runner right here. And Schumacher cuts it loose and misses the cutoff man, who's only about 90 feet away. Misses him by so much that Frazier can only knock the ball down. It squirts away. Heads up play by the trail runner Segura. And it's 6-3. They gave Todd Frazier the error on that. I'd have to look at it again. I thought the throw was bad, but either way, it was just bad execution by the Reds defense.
We'll go back and take a look at that. I'm kind of curious myself because, like you said, the scoring decision gave Frazier the error. Swinging a foul
well, in
ball
case you're scoring at home, we'll take another look at it, and you see whether the throw was bad or the fielding catch was bad. Oh, in my book, that's an error on the throw.
Yeah, Frazier had to reach across his body, trying to catch that ball in the air, and it looked like it hit off the heel of his glove as he was reaching out for it. Well, it all adds up to a 6-3 ball game, and there's still only 1 out. Give Gennett 1 RBI. The other run scores on the error. And here's Lucroy. Frazier, a nice play. Can he get the out? What a nice play that is. Down on one knee, and on that right foot he had in the ground to make the throw.
Boy, that is as good as it gets right there. That is Gold Glove caliber defense. Boy, if you're a fan of fielding, or if you're a fan of pitching that needs fielding, You can look at that play all day long.
So here's Ryan Braun, and we'll wait through him once again to pick up dirt and put it on each hand, and now he'll fix his batting gloves. Put that right hand in the air. We'll watch Braun do this between every pitch. I mean, he's got the whole routine with every little tick that goes along with it. Especially you got to watch the dirt part, because that's coming up. There's the first bend over. There's the dirt from the right hand to the left hand. And since he swung at that pitch, he is allowed to leave the box. But even if he doesn't leave the box, there are a couple of these little things he goes through after every pitch. So here we go. He's going to bend down here in a minute after fixing the batting gloves. And he'll pick up something with his right hand, some of the dirt. Oh, he mixed it up tonight. Man, first time all night. Maybe it has something to do with what the last pitch was or something. Well, that's called an out. And the inning is over. Brewers get 2 of them back. End of 2. It is a 6-3 game. Wednesdays with the new student discount days presented by First Student. All students can purchase discounted tickets for all Wednesday Reds home games. Just show your school ID at the Bucks office. For more information, visit reds.com/students. Reds still have so many great deals going on through the month of September. Different days of the week, along with some all-star merchandise that's available. So you might want to look into it. Just go to reds.com/tickets. There's all kinds of deals going on between now and the end of the year. And some good baseball teams coming into Cincinnati between now and the end of the year. I mean, all the teams in the Reds division, or the 3 teams above them, the 3 primary contenders, are all coming into town for a series. And we talked about the 2 series where the Reds step outside of their division. One of them will be played in San Francisco, but the other team that comes into town hadn't been here all year long. Very much a playoff contending team, the New York Mets.
Better believe they're a playoff contending team.
They have a 6.5 game lead over second place Washington.
Although I have to admit, I never saw that coming.
I don't think anyone did. You know, Sandy Alderson made a lot of headlines before last year. Longtime general manager of the Oakland Athletics, and handful of years now with the New York Mets. And he came out 2 years ago and said this Mets team is a 90-win team. And he never stopped hearing about it the rest of the way when they were not a good team. So nobody was walking around sticking their chest out before this year. By the time they come to Cincinnati, there might be a few guys sticking their chest out proudly. There's a fly ball to center, because the time they get to Cincinnati, the Mets could be knocking on the door of wrapping up the National League East if they keep going like they're going. How about your guy Edwin Encarnacion today?
Boy, going off. What did he hit? 3?
3 home runs. Edwin.
Boy, they continue to score a lot of runs. What, they win 15-1?
15-1.
Wow.
Encarnacion. Boy, has he just become an offensive, I mean, more than just a force. He has become one of the truly big sluggers in the American League. Swing and a miss by Schumacher. I don't know how many runs he knocked in today. Knocked in 9 runs. He now has 99-0. 90 runs batted in on the season. And we have a month and a week left in it.
Yeah, he'll blow right through his career high, which is 110.
That one shot into left field off the bat of Schumacher. He's also hit, by the way, in 24 consecutive games. So not only is he hitting the long ball, he's becoming a much better all-around hitter the longer his career goes on. Denard Span out for the year. That's a big blow to the Nationals. And Puig, of course, injured and officially placed on the disabled list.
Injured his leg against the Reds.
Yep. Double play ball all the way here off the bat of Barnhart, and the inning is over. So Garza gets through an inning without giving up a run. It's 6-3. Reds in front.
You guys talked about Edwin Encarnacion today. 9 runs driven in, 3 home runs. Let's talk about another former Red. Did you catch Johnny Gomes last night? Johnny Gomes, the pitcher. They called on him in a blowout game, and Todd Coffey does the sprint, full-out sprint to the mound. Then got on the hill and was, well, he had a lot of adrenaline going. He's throwing about a 70-mile-per-hour fastball. There he gets a strikeout to end it and sprints off the field. So Johnny Gomes does it all. Win an inning, give up 3 hits, 2 runs, a home run, but that 1 strikeout. Through 20 pitches, though, 12 of them were strikes.
Johnny! We love Johnny. He was such a great guy to have on that 2010 team that finally broke through with the Reds to win the divisional title. He brought such great passion and fire and emotion to the ballpark, whether he was in the lineup or not. He still is all these years later.
And he's sincere about it.
Yes.
I mean, it was no fake rah-rah stuff. I mean, he believed everything he did.
All right, Kiva Sampson, here we go. I mean, you hate to say here we go again. He was given a 6-1 lead. He walked the first batter after being given that 6-1 lead in the second inning. The Brewers scored 2 runs. And there's the first strike of the inning.
Now they took something off it to get it in there.
You know, everybody, we all have to live with the growing pains of these young pitchers. There's no 2 ways about that, and I think everybody understands it. No one more so than Brian Price. But Brian Price will not tolerate the walking.
Well, that's the one thing that separates guys in the minor leagues from the major leagues is the ability to control your fastball.
Boy, that ball is kissed off the bat of Lynn. And a nice running catch made by Schumacher. Man, oh man, was that ball hit.
Boy, he likes the ball up and away. He did it last night. He swings on a pitch out like that. I mean, he's waiting for that pitch.
Well, an out is an out. And Sampson will take him and take him quickly if he can get him. Because he's knocking on the door of 70 pitches with 1 out here in the 3rd inning. Davis came up there with runners at first and second his first time up and hit one right at Frazier. This ball in the air to deep left center, run down at the track by Jason Bourgeois. So a couple of hard hit balls, but loud outs for the Brewers here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Fastball runs up and in on Domingo Santana. He struck out swinging his first time up. Two balls and a strike. Tucker Barnhart, nothing to it. Took that one right off the face mask, and he's right back down, hanging aside and ready for the 2-2. We'll do it once more. Sampson has fanned 3. He's walked 2, allowed 3 runs and 4 hits. Boy, Bee Gees song got Chris Welsh moving around a little bit up here. Staying alive from Saturday Night Fever. High pop-up. I'm going to ask the guys in the scoreboard to play that again. Chris will have room at the track.
Don't bother. I got it on my phone.
Man, you're up moving around in the booth. Reds lead at the end of 3 by 3. Oktoberfest. We're going to be celebrating German Heritage Day that day. And again, that is a 1:10 start. We haven't had a Saturday 1:10 start in a long time. First 20,000 fans receive a Red Stein thanks to Hollywood Casino. So the Brewers in town next Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That'll be night game, day game, day game. Pirates come into town after that. That'll be a day game on Labor Day, that Monday. I mean, that'll be some kind of sports day in OHIO, that Monday Labor Day. I mean, you get the day off, hopefully. Chris, you and I'll be working, but, I mean, this isn't working. Reds lead 6-3. Sampson leads off against Garza. You got the Reds and the Pirates at 1:10, and you've got the Ohio State University Buckeyes kicking off their season that night.
Nice.
At Virginia Tech. That'll be a big league day. And if I'm not mistaken, on Saturday, you have the Reds at home during the day, and Tommy Tuberville's UC football Bearcats reopen Nippert Stadium Saturday night. And that game you can watch right here on Fox Sports Ohio. So there's a big time Ohio sports
what a
day.
Weekend.
Great weekend. Well, they're all fired up around here. We were talking to the voice of the Wisconsin Badgers, Matt LePay. He's an Ohio State University grad, but he has been the voice of Wisconsin football and men's basketball 2 years in a row. They've gone to the Final Four. Swing and a miss to Sampson. And he reminded me something I'd completely forgotten about. They are really fired up around here about the Wisconsin Badgers season opener. That's coming up next Saturday night against the Crimson Tide of Alabama. And that game's going to be played in Dallas, Texas. It's a big league game.
It's like a bowl game in September.
Big league game. Been a perfect night for Jason Bourgeois. Bourgeois singled, scored in the first inning, knocked in a run with a single in the second. And he takes low and away. It's 3 balls and no strikes. And he's 3 for 3. All 3 singles into center field.
Jason Bourgeois gets 3 hits, and 3 of the 4 innings the Reds have been able to get the leadoff runner on. Twice because Bourgeois has a base hit. Once a little bit left of the second base bag. That one goes right over the bag. And that has really been a problem for Matt Garza so far this year, is getting that leading lady retired, so to say.
One and 0, and it's fouled back out of play.
Now, the Reds have already had an out on a base pass at second base when Brandon Phillips who was thrown out. Todd Frazier was thrown out stealing in the first inning. But what they have not been able to do yet is get a big enough lead at first base to make Matt Garza throw over. He does not like to do that at all. So stretch that lead, even if it's a one-way lead where you go back to the bag and make him do something uncomfortable.
It was hard to tell from where we sit where that Jay Bruce home run landed. I don't know if it hit the bottom part of that scoreboard.
I think it hit the upper part about a quarter of the way up.
So it was that far?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it was a bomb.
Yeah, it sure was. It sure was.
Did they give us a distance?
442 feet. That one lined to the center fielder for the second out of the inning. Let's take a look. Sometimes it's hard to see where we sit with the lights in the background right there. Yeah, above light, the Miller Lite Pilsner sign out there in straightaway center field. That's a blast, man. All right, Bourgeois at first base. And here's Joey Votto, who has struck out looking and singled into left. 6 runs, 10 hits for the Reds. 3 runs, 4 hits for Milwaukee. Bourgeois takes off for second base. Throw is in the dirt. And safely sliding into second is Bourgeois. It'll be a wild pitch on Garza.
Really good heads-up play by Bourgeois right there. You get a secondary lead by bouncing off the first base bag. And you're looking for a breaking ball in the dirt that is going to get away from the catcher. And that didn't get away by very much.
So Bourgeois now in scoring position for Votto. And it's 1-0 on Joey. Garza look back in the runner, now comes to the plate. And right back into center field, and Votto will make it a 7-3 game. Joey, his second hit, his first run batted in of the night. Well, I mean, the Reds are just knocking Garza all over the place here tonight.
Well, he must feel like he's got a bullseye on him, because that hit him right on the rump as it went through the middle of the box. He nearly got decapitated by a line drive off the bat of Suarez, and before he gets hurt, Craig Counsell is going to get him out of there.
Tyler Thornburg will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen, replacing Garza, who gives up 11 hits and 7 runs so far.
Be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Welcome back to Miller Park. The night is over for Matt Garza. He'll give way to Tyler Thornburg. Reds lead 7-3, but like we said, we are only in the fourth, so there's a long way to go in this one. Joey Votto, the runner at first after an RBI single, and Garza can only bury that face inside the towel. Another very ugly start for the veteran Matt Garza.
Well, meanwhile, Tyler Thornburg, he's been a young man that was drafted and developed in the Brewers minor league system, comes in to pitch. 26-year-old from Houston, Texas. Pretty good curveball right there. Thornburg spent just about all season long down in Colorado, where the Brewers have their AAA team now. The Sky Sox. It's a good place to hit, tough place to pitch.
One ball, one strike on Brandon Phillips, and a bouncer to the right side, similar to his first at bat of the night. And Brandon can't believe he's called out by the first base umpire, Bruce Dreckman.
I think he went over there as he knew he was out. I think it was kind of a joke.
I think you're right.
I mean, he puts a big smile on, right? Or maybe not.
I'm telling you, he's safe. Now, Brian Price is looking at it. Rob Coughlin is taking a look, and Brian Price said we're not going to challenge the call. Reds get a run. They get a couple of hits. They leave a man. The Brewers will come to bat in the bottom of the fourth inning. Reds lighten up the scoreboard. A 7-3 lead. For a healthier you, admire. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking third in the country on the U.S. News and World Report's best children's hospitals in America. And as we always do, we wish a special hello to those of you watching over at Cincinnati Children's Hospital tonight. Hoping you had a great day today and praying you have a better one tomorrow. It's been a real good night offensively so far for the Reds, who during this stretch where they dropped 13 of 14, they've only averaged barely over 2 runs per game. But tonight, 7 runs, 11 hits, all of that charged against starter Matt Garza. So now Kiva Sampson, coming off a scoreless third. He faces 7, 8, and 9, the same trio that he faced after being given a 6-1 lead. And you may remember he walked this guy Herrera, allowed a double to the number 8 hitter, and the Brewers wound up scoring 2 runs in that inning. He's fallen behind 2-0. Boy, they are just I'm not going to call it jam-packed. That would be inaccurate. But they are. This is a big crowd here tonight. On a really a poor weather night.
Not inside, it's not.
No. 61 degrees was the game time temperature, but it was lightly raining. It's been lightly raining off and on all day long. One-handed by Suarez. And when you consider that the Green Bay Packers are playing an exhibition preseason game tonight against the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a really impressive crowd.
See a few Packer fans sprinkled in. No cheeseheads so far, but they're probably all up north of here.
Yeah, they don't have much to be cheering about right now, though. They have run into a team that looks like it's on a mission this year, the Philadelphia Eagles. And granted, even though it's a preseason and no Aaron Rodgers is not playing tonight for Green Bay, they are getting run over by the Eagles. It is 25-0 as they just started the second quarter. But I tell you what, there's nothing like going to Lambeau. They just redid that Green Bay Packer Hall of Fame. If you ever have a chance, if you're passing through this part of the country on your way to wherever, it doesn't matter if it's the middle of the summertime. If you're anywhere close and if you love football, you have to stop at Lambeau Field and the Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame. Base hit left field.
Well, we talked about Kivas Sampson and his inability really to control that curveball. He bounced one in the dirt about 2 feet in front of home plate, and here he hangs one to the number 8 hitter, Segura. And Segura is now 2 for 2. Hit a fastball over the head of Jay Bruce his first time up, and here he finds a hole on the left side. That's a good pitch that Sampson has, but you've got to be able to repeat that pitch to the point where you can throw it for a strike and you can throw it down in the zone. Well, the Reds are coming hard on the corners. I mean, really hard. Thornburg, if he puts the bunt down, it's going to be right into a trap.
Well, I know the count on Thornburg. Shortens up, but he might be pulling that now. He's going to. Yeah. I don't know what in the world happened there.
Well, you got to throw a strike. I mean, you got the pitcher in the batter's box. He's in a bunt situation. Your corner infielders are charging hard to try to get the lead runner, and all you have to do as a pitcher is throw it right down the middle. And that ball should have been caught. It's going to be a pass ball by Tucker Barnhart, but still. It starts with a strike.
Two and 0 on Tyler Thornburg. So 2-1 pitcher against pitcher. '88th pitch of the night for Sampson. We're just 1 out into the 4th inning. And a check swing, 1 hopper right back to the mound. 2 away in the inning. So here's Scooter Gennett. Sampson has yet to retire the Milwaukee second baseman. Single to center, scored a run in the first inning, knocked in a run with a single to left in the second. We talked about some of the moves both of these teams have made, being in position where they are in the standings. Gennett fouls it off trying to bunt his way on, and of course the Reds trading away Johnny Cueto and Mike Leake. For these Brewers, the big move was trading away the most popular player on the team, Carlos Gomez. Sending him in that deal to the Houston Astros. One thing that has changed that we did not talk about here last night was Doug Melvin no longer the general manager. He's going to stay on with the organization, but no longer calling the shots.
So is that a trend of general managers being shown the door as opposed to managers? I mean, it happened in Detroit. It's now happened in Seattle. It's happened here in Milwaukee.
Yeah. That's a very good question.
Happened earlier this season in Anaheim.
Yep.
Where Jerry Votto stepped down because he evidently was hooking horns with the field manager, Mike Scioscia.
And of course it happened in Boston. 1 ball and 2 strikes. There could be a number of other changes in regard to managers / general managers, and I say that because you look at the situation in Miami. Runner takes off for third. There's a ground ball through the hole in the right field, a base hit. Jeanette is 3 for 3, and it's a 7-4 game.
Well, he's been very democratic about his base hits tonight. Jeanette has. 1 to left, 1 to center, and 1 to right.
Votto was really upset after that hit. I don't know what it was that got him so angry. But he showed a lot of frustration. Just his body language after that ball went through into right field for a base hit. And I don't know if he wasn't happy with the positioning of where the Reds were playing Jeanette defensively, because he appeared to be a lot closer to the line. And of course, that's not his call. But Kiva Sampson is fooling around to the tune of maybe not being able to get a win on a night where your team has scored 7 runs in the first 4 innings of the game.
Now, normally you'd see, I mean, if you gave up 4 runs in the first 4 innings, you'd have activity in the bullpen. And the Reds finally do have some activity in the bullpen, but I mean, they would be hot and ready to go. But given the fact that the Reds have scored 7, Kivas has a little bit longer leash tonight. There's Old Faithful out there, Pedro Villarreal. Boy, he has been good in that role as a long man.
I wish we had the capability of putting a clock on Lucroy and Braun.
I got one right here.
I mean, this is ridiculous. He is knocking on the door of almost 30 seconds since that ball hit Tucker Barnhart's mitt, and now it does hit 30.
Well, right now, the only thing that the Major League Baseball will do is they will warn the player, and then they will fine the player. They'll find a little memo coming in, the players will, with a $500 fine. And as a couple of the coaches have told me, the players don't feel that's a big deal. And I'm not sure how many times they've fined players. They've kept that private, Major League Baseball has. And they've also kept it private as to who has been fined. I mean, do you get a bigger fine for multiple offenses?
It's a good question.
I'll tell you what, if Kiva Sampson walks Lucroy, there's a real good chance that Brian Price is going to come out and get him. I mean, how much leash do you give him?
Base hit center field. That'll send Jeanette first to third. Well, we'll see what Brian Price decides to do. You get Ryan Braun now coming up, representing the tying run. That's it. Sampson goes 3 2/3 innings. Throws almost 100 pitches in 4 innings. So Villarreal will come on from the bullpen as the signal is given. Bottom of the 4th inning, Reds with a 7-4 lead. Brewers with 2 on and 2 out. We're back with more in a moment. Analysis and live look-ins from around Major League Baseball. MLB Whip Around each night, 7 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Kivas to the Reds dugout. 3 2/3 innings, 7 hits so far. Walked 2 and threw 97 pitches. The Reds gave him leads of 6-1 and 7-3. And now the Reds will hand it to a guy who has just been so dependable for them. Once he stayed regularly, instead of going up and down from the major league level to the minor league level, Pedro Villarreal.
Yeah, he has been good, and the life of a long man is that you come into ball games in which you're normally losing. The Reds are 4-20 in games in which Pedro Villarreal pitches because as a long man, you're a mop-up man, but this is not a mop-up action here. This is a multiple inning opportunity for Villarreal, but the Reds have a 3-run lead and a chance for a vulture win if he can put a couple of zeros up. That's what he did against the Dodgers when he came in. Similar situation on Wednesday.
That was a game when the Reds were behind, 6-0. And they made it a 6-4 a game. They had a chance to win that thing. Nice piece of hitting there by Ryan Braun. That'll plate Scooter Gennett at 7-5.
Well, he had a feeling that Villarreal was going to go right back out there. He threw a first pitch fastball outside. He threw another one in the same spot, and Braun is just too talented. I mean, he just goes right with it and knows there's a hole there with the first baseman holding the runner.
Here's Adam Lynn. Still 2 outs in the inning. 2 runs have scored. And the lead is 2 for the Reds. That one has popped up a mile high. That might have gone right through a couple of those cables. The run from one end of this retractable dome to the other. There you get a look at them. I don't know if I've ever seen a ball hit any of those during a game in this ballpark.
Now, we've seen one in Tampa Bay. Of course, you can hit the roof of that stadium.
Used to see it from time to time off a speaker in your old ballpark in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a foul ball? Yes, a foul ball. Tucker Barnhart He's going to go over and make sure. I think Brian Price is wondering, are you sure about that? Can we appeal it? Can we take a look?
Well, the Reds were coming off the field, and Adam Lind did not move at all out of the batter's box, which gives me an indication he probably felt contact here. I don't know what he felt contact with, but
it certainly did not look like a foul ball on that replay. Hard to tell there. Third base umpire and the crew chief, Tom Hallion, will come down. So Lind is still the batter. And Villarreal ahead in the count at 0-2 strikes. Two on, two out. 1-2 strikes here in the fourth inning tonight. And Lind hanging around. A pile of runs, a pile of hits for both teams. 12 runs, 19 hits. And we are only in the fourth inning. 1-2 again on Lind. And once again, he's able to swing and foul it off. And then a boot. That's always scary for a fan when you're in that front row of the second deck, or the front row of any deck. And the ball's coming and you have to lean out a little bit. You get a little gun shy. But everybody in the park can see you.
I think a lot of people are old enough to remember the dangler.
Yes.
At Riverfront Stadium.
Kid was a high school football player or something. It was his strength that literally saved his life. Base hit a knocked in another run. And it's a one-run game. All of these runs charged to Sampson. On base hit surrendered by Villarreal.
Well, this guy comes alive when the Reds come to town. We showed you the numbers earlier, what he has done with the Reds this season. Now, there have been 13 runs scored in this game. Here we are on the bottom of the fourth inning.
Oh, and one on Chris Davis. He is the 8th man to bat in what is so far a 3-run Brewers 4th inning.
And he is one of the hotter Brewers. We talked about it last night. This guy is on a home run binge right now.
Fastball up and in.
5 home runs in the last 7 games for Davis. 10 since August the 6th. But the Reds have been able to hold him pretty much under control all season long.
Breaking ball away. 2 balls and a strike.
You can just tell the way Davis sets up in the batter's box. I mean, watch him. I mean, he is looking for something to yank and hit a long, long way.
Tell you who's delighted by all this is their hitting coach, Darnell Coles. Had a chance to visit with him for a little while last night. Oh, what a pleasant guy.
Really nice guy.
He played 1 year for the Reds back in 1992. Was managed for 4 years in the minor leagues. But I had a chance to meet his wife, Sherry, last night. He was telling me they're celebrating their 32nd year of being married. Well, they've done a lot of traveling together for a long time. Three balls and 2 strikes. 2 on, 3 in. And the Brewers have a tying run at third base here in the last of the 4th inning. Villarreal, a big deep breath in the pitch. He thought he had strike 3. Boy, this inning seems to just go on and on. 9th man to bat will be Santana. Clearly low.
Well, when you see the manager and the pitching coach out on the mound in the same inning, it's not a good inning.
No.
And they've got a guy coming to the plate in Domingo Santana who's got enough power to excite this crowd. They'll get something shaken down in the Reds bullpen with that phone call. Santana hit the home run last night to deep right field. Hit in the 7th inning off Raisel Iglesias.
One and 0 on Domingo Santana. This young man has tremendous power. That's in there, a strike to even the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. Big swing on a 2-1 pitch and fouled back out of play. 2-2. And that's strike 3 call. The inning is over. 3-run fourth, 1-run game as we go to inning number 5.
Miller Time moment. It's brought to you by Miller Lite. On this date in 1988, it was Todd Frazier who led Toms River, New Jersey to the Little League World Series championship. In that game, he went 4 for 4, had a leadoff home run, and was the winning pitcher of the game. And the 5 teams that his team played, it was 9 for 15, 4 home runs, including a grand slam. Drove in 10 and scored 11 runs. 45 players have played in the Little League World Series and have gone on to the big leagues. Only one of them has won the home run derby. That would be Todd Frazier. Went up to him before the game. I said, "You know what today is?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah. It's the day we won the Little League World Series." He knows it and preaches it.
Goodness, look at this. A bomb off the facing of the second deck by Frazier on the second pitch in the 5th inning. Mr. Welsh, we could be in for a wild night tonight.
Right on cue after that terrific lead-in by Jim Day talking about the anniversary of Toms River winning the Little League World Series, in which Frazier hit home runs in that game to win it. He hits one right here to give the Reds a 2-run lead.
And that's number 30 for Frazier. He's been waiting for that one for a while. He's been waiting quite a while. On the ground, Suarez is thrown out. One away here in the 5th. First home run for Frazier in 2 weeks. His last home run came on that long road trip along the West Coast in Los Angeles. But home run number 30. Take a look at the face of Frazier. I tell you what, you might tack on some years of age, but look at that face. Dialed in. Toms River, Little League World Series, or here in the big leagues on an August night against Milwaukee.
Very cool.
Very cool. Tapper back to the mound. This will be the second out. Frazier 2 RBIs tonight. Now 77 runs batted in. 69 extra base hits for Todd Frazier. 0-1 the count. Tucker knocked in a run with a ground out to the first baseman in the second inning, and then he bounced into a double play ending the third. See, I told you I like Craig Counsell's wife.
So much so she came up and, and visited us.
She's awesome. She's a really good friend of my wife's, and her and Polly are talking on the phone all the time, trying to get together once or twice a year. It was very nice of her to stop up and say hello.
Did you bring up and offer her condolences for you not being named as bench coach?
No. She probably highly endorsed it. He not even think about that. Of course, I don't think he needed to be talked into not making that move. That would be a disaster for him. There's a foul ball out of play. You know, Craig Counsell did not make any changes on his coaching staff when he took over. And whether or not he will looking ahead to next year, of course, that remains to be seen. But said he felt like, you know, after the club came to him where he was working alongside Doug Melvin in the front office and asked him to become the field manager, he wanted his coaching staff to know they had a job the rest of this year. There weren't going to be any changes. Families weren't going to be uprooted. Guys weren't going to be out of jobs. And a lot of people wonder, is this a job that he will want to keep or get back on the path which he was on about more than likely becoming the general manager of these Milwaukee Brewers? Todd Frazier plays long ball. Throwing halfway through this one. And the Reds lead 8-6. Take on the Brewers. Post-game fireworks featuring a Grateful Dead soundtrack presented by the Cincinnati Arts and Technology Center. 381 REDS. Big crowd. And they're getting their money's worth here tonight. I mean, we're 2 hours and 15 minutes into this game. And the home team is coming to bat in the bottom of the fifth inning. So the fans settling in for a while tonight. Pedro Villarreal on in relief of Kivas Sampson, who allowed all 6 Brewers runs in his 3 2/3 innings. Base hit surrendered by Villarreal. Allowed the last 2 runs to score. And he struck out Santana, the 9th man to bat in that 3-run fourth with the bases loaded. Elian Herrera has walked, scored, and grounded out to the shortstop. The thing that's amazing about that inning is you go back and you look at it. You had a ground ball to the shortstop by Herrera to begin the inning with Sampson on the mound. Segura single. The pass ball turned out to be a huge play in the inning because the pitcher was going to bat the way things had gone here tonight. If there's a runner at first there, obviously they asked the pitcher to bunt. Now, whether or not he gets that bunt down, we'll never know. But assume for a second he doesn't, and that the lead runner is cut down trying to advance. You have the pitcher at first with 2 outs in the inning. But after the pass ball charged to Barnard, they let the pitcher swing away with 1 out. He tapped out to the mound. And then it went single, 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 walk before the inning came to an end. Reds pitchers have thrown 122 pitches in this game, and there's nobody out in the top of the 5th inning. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You know, you think about it, and I like this is the catcher. I mean, he's got to call each one of those. He's got to catch each one of those. You got to squat down and get ready to block half of them when runners are on base.
Two pitch. That's another thing that all the pitchers in this game have had a hard time doing. Once they get to 2 strikes, they just can't put anybody away.
Boy,
Garza had 2 strikeouts, and Sampson only had 3.
Herrera's almost putting himself away right there. He batted a ball off, it looks like his back leg, which is nearly impossible to do. Young man originally signed by the Dodgers from San Pedro de Macorís, Dominican Republic. Then when he got picked up here by the Milwaukee Brewers, they claimed him off waivers after the season was over in 2013. He played with the Brewers in 2014. Then this year, in June, they designated him for assignment. But at the end of July, when the Brewers traded away a couple of players, Carlos Gomez, Mike Fiers, to the Astros, they needed another player. So he rejoined the team then.
That's a real nice at bat right there by Elian Herrera as he shoots a double down the left field line.
Yeah, this looks like one of those nights where Villarreal just simply doesn't have it going for him. Sometimes you tip your hat to the hitter, and you got to do it right there if you're Pedro, because that is just good hitting. And that will get some action down in the Reds bullpen.
Gene Segura, a double, a single, and has scored a couple of runs. Shows bunt, pulls the bat away, ball 1.
Now they've got a pinch hitter in the on-deck circle.
Line drive, center field, base hit. And the Reds have action in their bullpen because, as you said, first time in a long while we've seen Villarreal not sharp.
Boy, I'll tell you what, when Segura centers it up, it really sounds good. He was going to bunt early and let her high fastball. Or just when you think 8 is enough.
Yeah.
They have the tying run at first base and the go-ahead run at the plate.
And nobody out.
Shane Peterson, the left-handed hitting pinch hitter. And the obligatory scouting report delivered by Jeff Pico. It's another area where they could speed up the game a little bit. Limit the number of trips to the mound by the pitching coach. Yeah, I know you can only go twice for each. Once free, and then the second time you got to take a pitcher out. To me, that would be too much of a Too complicated of a scouting report right there if it takes that long to deliver. Peterson looking for his first home run in 174 plate appearances. He's hitting .263. Left-handed hitter, probably likes it out over the plate. Crowd him with fastballs in, slow stuff away.
Runners on the corners with none out. This Reds 2-run lead very much hangs in the balance. They pitch out. Segura's not going anywhere. They want to see if there's any chance a squeeze might be on.
Looked kind of funny, that play, because Villarreal never looked back to first base after he came to a stretch position. I wonder if he may have given it away.
Two 0 on Shane Peterson. Straight away center field. So bring in a run. It is a one-run ball game. And again, just terrible fundamental baseball
Sloppy.
by the
Just
Reds.
sloppy.
Really bad. Segura had already decided he wasn't going to tag up
From first to second.
Yeah. And once the ball got away from the cutoff man, he just basically walked into second base.
That's just sloppy baseball right here. You got to get out there far enough to get the relay, and there is Suarez out. Good play by Bourgeois, but I mean, by not getting out there far enough, you make it into a tough play.
Well, Brian Price is going to make a pitching change. That's all for Villarreal. Give Peterson the RBI. An error is charged to Suarez, the shortstop, allowing the runner to go to second base. That's the second play tonight on a routine cutoff throw where the ball has gotten away from the infielder handling the throw. They shouldn't have given Frazier the error earlier.
No.
That was a throw off the line by Schumacher. Nonetheless, as a team, it is the second time tonight a Brewers base runner has advanced 90 feet on a simple routine baseball play. Back in a moment. Time they led 7-3. The Brewers score 3 times in the bottom of the 4th inning. Reds get one of the runs back on the Frazier home run in the top of this 5th. And here in the bottom of the inning, the Brewers have scored a run. So De Jesus, part of a double switch, takes over for Schumacher in left field. And now on the pitch with a runner at second base and one out is Burke Badenhop.
Very short outing for Villarreal. They expected multiple innings out of him. They only got multiple outs, 2/3 of an inning.
Well, this is the leadoff hitter for the Brewers, Scooter Gennett, who is batting for the 4th time, and we're in the bottom of the 5th inning. He's a perfect 3 for 3, 2 runs scored, 2 runs batted in. Has a base hit to center, a base hit to left, and a base hit to right. Tying run is Segura, and he is going to score on this ball down the line into the corner. This will be a triple for Gennett if he keeps running. He's in standing up. We're tied at 8. So we start all over again.
I mean, Scooter Gennett is simply going to ruin his spray chart because his hits tonight are all over the place. One to left, one to center, one to straight up right field, and now down the right field line. And that means with the game tied that the starter, Matt Garza, has spit the hook.
After giving up 11 hits and 7 earned runs in 3 2/3 innings.
Wow.
All right. Infield in now, as the Brewers are making a bid for their first lead tonight. The closest they were until the 1-run deficit just a second ago was 2-1 at the end of 1. The Reds scored 4 times in the second to go up 6-1. Brewers scored to make it 6-3 at the end of 2, coming up with a pair in the second inning. Reds went up 7-3 with a run in the 4th. Brewers get 3 in the bottom of the inning. Reds are running the 5th. Brewers have tied it with 2 here in the bottom half of the 5th. And it's 0-2 on Jonathan Lucroy. Brewers are going to take the lead in this one on a sac fly by Lucroy. That will play Jeanette. 9-8 Milwaukee.
You miss these kind of games, Tom. You go back to the mid-90s, the early 2000s, before they started testing for PEDs. We would regularly have 17 runs scored by around the 5th inning. You miss them?
No, do you?
No. So it's a throwback game in
yes.
kind of a way.
Yes. You know, I always used to, at our Fox baseball seminar every year, and part of going to the seminar there is an independent research company comes in and gives you all kinds of data on multiple different things about what fans like inside of a broadcast, what they don't like, and it's very scientific. A lot of hard work goes into gathering this data over the course of a year. And, trends in television or trends in sports watching television, who's watching, how old are they, all those kinds of things. And, it would always show that fans say they love the 10-9 slugfest. And I would always ask the question, well, if they love it, I said, have you ever been to a game when it's 10-9 and a game starts and you have 34,000 in the stands, and when the game's over, there's about 22,000 in the stands? It's too late and they got to go home.
Well, if you could do 10-9 in 2.5 hours, I think you make a lot of people happy.
Right.
Because you'd have to eliminate a lot of this, which is Velcro, touch the dirt, tap the feet, raise the right hand. That's coming, right?
Yep.
Yeah, there it is. Now we're ready.
2 balls and 2 strikes. And that'll end the inning. So Badenhop comes on to get the only 2 batters that he faces. 10-5. Brewers lead 9-8. And we're only through 5 innings so far here tonight. We're talking about, how long our game is moving along here tonight, closing in on over 2.5 hours to play 5 innings. Anyway, the minutes and runs. Look at the third inning. Boy, it stands out like the proverbial sore thumb, right? No runs for either team. Oh, well. They can play here as long as it takes to determine a winner. Cesar Jimenez, a left-hander, will come on from the Milwaukee bullpen. 30-year-old left-hander, native Venezuelan.
Been around a while. He broke in with the Seattle Mariners at age 21. Spent a few years in back and forth in the minor leagues, up and down with Seattle.
Had a couple years he missed where he was injured. Missed 2 full years in his career. And yet only 30. De Jesus bats for the first time. He's batting in the number 9 spot in the batting order. So we'll see if the Reds can crank their bats back up. Scored single runs in each of the last 2. They've scored in, well, both teams have scored in the exact same inning. And only one inning, a top half and a bottom half, that was a third, did the teams fail to score. They've scored in every other half inning. Glove side to Herrera, 1 out.
Well, the leadoff hitters on both of these ball clubs have been getting it done. 7 hits in 7 at bats. Give the nod to Scooter Gennett there with 3 runs batted in and 3 runs scored. But not a bad night at all for Jason Bourgeois.
Tapper down to third. Again, Herrera will handle it, so a leadoff man can be retired. And here comes Jay Bruce. Bruce inserted for the first time this year into this number 2 spot in the batting order. And it's been a good place for Jay tonight. Hit a ground ball at the third base line for a double in the first inning. A long 3-run home run to straightaway center field, just to the right of straightaway center in the second. And lined out to the center fielder Santana in the fourth. And he hits this ball hard right at Santana. Boy, that didn't take long at all. Thursday night. That's right. Less than a handful of days away now. Jim Harbaugh makes his debut at his alma mater, head coach at the University of Michigan. He'll travel to Utah to take on the Utes. Coming your way on Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Saw where the young man, and I don't know his first name, and I feel badly. I should know this because I am a big college football fan. But the young man, I know his last name is Bolden. Plays at the University of Michigan. And he's from Colerain High School. Joe Bolden is his name. He was just named one of the captains of the University of Michigan football team by Jim Harbaugh. Wow. Congratulations to him. Eight runs, 12 hits for the Reds. 9 runs, 12 hits for the Brewers. Lynn, 2 out of 3, has knocked in a couple of runs. Line drive. Oh, that had a lot of topspin or knuckling or something out there. I think that thing fooled Bourgeois. He made a nice play on this ball.
Boy, Lynn just crushes this pitch. And that was a knuckleball. Well, Tom, we've seen a lot of baseball tonight.
Yes.
We've seen a lot of baseball in our years as broadcasters, but I'll tell you, a lady out there celebrating a birthday tonight, 81 years old in Coldwater, Ohio. Eileen Whitsett. Eileen, happy birthday to you and many, many more.
Indeed.
And thanks for tuning in. She's an avid Reds fan and pulls for the Reds and watches us every game on Fox Sports Ohio.
Well, happy birthday. Hope it's been a great day for you. See if the Reds can't come back and get her a win on her birthday. They're down a run here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Badenhop will walk all the way back behind the pitcher's mound, now climb up the back of it, and finally settles that right foot on. Well, this guy just doesn't stay still, does he? He is moving around all the time. That's a nice pitch right there. Breaking ball down and away to get Davis.
That's a way to get Davis, too, is kind of tease him in and then get him going on something slow away. Badenhop is a guy that really is at his best when he pitches below the hitting speed rather than trying to pitch above it.
Here's Domingo Santana. He and Davis have been the quiet ones in this lineup. You take away the pitchers, and everybody in this lineup has a base hit except for Davis and Santana. Cardinals earlier today shut out the Giants 6-0. You know, a guy who, Chris, it seems like we never, and I really do mean never, talk about him. And I shouldn't include you on this because, I mean, I don't want to suggest that it means you overlook him. I know I do until I see his name, like winning pitcher, Lynn.
As in Lance Lynn?
As in Lance Lynn.
11 wins now on the year for Lance
Talk more
Lynn.
about, I'll give you his career numbers here in a minute. I mean, big league numbers and a big league inning by Burke Badenhop. 24 hits through 6 innings tonight. Frazier gave the Reds a 6-1 lead. Bruce, I beg your pardon, with a 3-run home run and a 4-run second inning. But back came the Brewers as Kiva Sampson could just not put it together. He's charged with 6 runs. Brewers got within a run before Frazier homered in the 5th, his 30th. But then in the bottom of the 5th, it just wasn't meant to be for Villarreal. Brewers score 3 times to come from behind and take the lead 9-8, but we still have 1/3 of this game left to play at least. Jeremy Jeffress, we saw him in the game last night, Chris, and he'll come on here in the 7th inning.
He's a hard-throwing right-hander, Jeffress is. From South Boston, Virginia. First-round draft pick in 2006.
You're really tricky.
I probably got you and nobody else on that.
No, you got a lot of people on that.
Hard thrower. Once was trying to be a starter, and now they've put him in a relief corps. He's matured a little bit, and a big cog in his bullpen. At least going forward, he hopes at age 27 to be here for a while.
Well, you know, if you mess up, you know, that old adage about, you know, about failing, but the real failure is if you don't get up. And clearly off the field, Jeffress made some bad decisions. A lot of people do. But he's hoping that that's well behind him now. He's been given an incredible opportunity and an incredible gift of being able to throw a fastball the way he throws it. And so if he can just keep his head screwed on straight and stay on the straight and narrow, he's got a chance to make a mighty good living for him and his family and hopefully it has a happy ending.
Now, he made his major league debut almost exactly 6 years ago against the Cincinnati Reds. Came in relief, pitched 1 inning for the Brewers when he was for the Brewers at 22 years of age.
Fastball to Joey Votto is 2 balls and a strike. And now 2-2. Votto to be followed by Phillips and Frazier. Now Joey's going to take his time getting in the box. Chokes up on that badness, Votto. He has 2 hits in a game tonight. A run batted in on a single to center his last time up. And a liner right at the third baseman.
Boy, he hits it hard.
Sure does.
And sprays it all over.
$34,365 in attendance here tonight. Great crowd. You know, I started to ask you about the name Lance Lynn. Now, you know, all these years it seems like the Cardinal pitching staff has always been dominated by the big name and or names. For so many years it was Chris Carpenter. More recently Adam Wainwright. And as of right now, with Wainwright injured, it's Michael Wacha. But you know what? At the end of every year, you go through the stats of the Cardinals, and every year, like falling out of bed, 14, 15, 16, 17 wins. There's Lance Lynn. Wins his 11th game of the year. In his career, he is 23 games over 500. 59 wins against 36 losses. 36 losses is it for Lance Lynn. Now, he's been on good teams, but you still got to go win games. And his career earned run average is 3.3. But it's better this year than it's ever been. It's 2.8. And boy, if there is one lightning rod pitcher of the fan base in St. Louis, Missouri on those Cardinal teams the last 4 or 5 years, it has been Lance Lynn. I mean, you bring up his name, you will get stronger reaction, good, bad, and indifferent, than any other player they have on their team. And I tell you what, send me those guys that are 23 games over 500 with a career ERA of 3.3. There's a base hit in the left field by Brandon.
Well, you know, the one thing you may not remember about Lance Lynn is the fact that when he won 18 games in his first year as a full-time starter, in 29 starts, he picks up 18 wins. The next year, he wins 15 games. And in both of those seasons, he was either number 1 or number 2 in the National League in run support average. He was given nearly 7 runs a game as an average by the Cardinal offense every time he took them out. Now, you still got to make good on it. Look what happened tonight. So, and the same for the next year. But little by little, he is getting his act together as far as earned run average. All his peripheral numbers are getting better and better.
2 outs in the inning.
And, of course, Lance Lynn is a product of that Brownsburg High School over in Indiana, the same high school that Tucker Barnhart went to school at.
And Drew Storen, right?
Drew Storen, too, yeah.
Sounded like Frazier broke his bat. He hit it hard, but his ball was not hit as solidly as Votto's was. The line drive to start the inning. 0-1 the count on Suarez. Reds batting in the 7th, trailing 9-8. They just completed 6th, the only inning tonight outside of the 3rd where both teams failed to score. The Eugenio 1 of 3, singled and scored in the 4-run 2nd, and he takes down low. 1 ball and 1 strike on Suarez. Pirates at the end of the 8th inning lead the Rockies 4-1. Cubs in the 3rd, a 1-0 lead over the Dodgers. The Mets lose tonight. Back-to-back games they've lost to Boston, who's dead last in the American League East. 3-1 the final there. Nationals pick up a win. So Washington picks up a game, 5.5 behind the Mets in the NL East. And we told you the Cardinals beat the Giants 6-0. Tell you the team is trying to get back in the race, and I mean doing it really under the radar, is the Cleveland Indians. They've won 3 in a row. They're tied tonight. Now, granted, they're 5 games under 500. I'm not suggesting they're having a great year. But in the American League, that's good enough to be just 5 games back in the wild card. Suarez, a swing and a miss, 2 balls and 2 strikes. See if Suarez can find a way to get Phillips in from first. Branded a 1-out single, now stands at first with 2 away. And the 2-2 offering from Jeffress. Ground ball to short. Segura the short way. And the Reds shut out in back-to-back innings. Brewers bat in the last of the 7th with a 9-8 lead.
Fest arrive early for pregame ceremonies and activities celebrating German Heritage Day. Plus, first 20,000 fans receive a Red Stein thanks to Hollywood Casino. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or reds.com/tickets. I'm Jim Day. We've been trying to keep you updated on what's going on in the minor leagues for Cincinnati, and most of that is concentrated on the pitching, the young pitching arms. But let's talk about one of the hitters, one of the top hitting prospects in the Reds system, Jesse Winker. You probably heard the name if you follow the Reds closely. Got off to a very, very slow start at Double-A and was scuffling for much of the season. But in August, look at the numbers, 373, 6 home runs, driven in 19, and has struck out only 16 times the entire month. He's got that average now up to 280 with 13 bombs, 55 runs driven in. And they have had this kid earmarked, left-handed hitter, pure contact hitter, pure hitter, if you will. And the question is, with guys on the 40-man roster who are struggling at AAA, and Kyle Waldrop and Duvall and Christopher Negron, would the Reds call him up in September? Stay tuned for that.
Jim Day, I thought you had disappeared down there. Are you down at the far end of a dugout?
I am. I'm shielded. The Reds dugout shields me from you guys.
And you are a long, long ways away from the batter's box. You're not used to that.
I am not, but this is prime time space for foul balls. They come buzzing in here.
Well, where you are now.
Yes.
It's a lot more dangerous where you normally are. At our ballpark, a lot closer to home
more
plate.
Dangerous in the fact that I'm closer, no doubt about it, would have less reaction time. But there are more foul balls that come into the camera well at the far end of a dugout.
Really?
Oh, by far, yeah.
Now, have you had to go ducking out of the way of any down there tonight?
Oh, yeah, a couple. Last night almost got nailed.
Oh, man. Don't let that happen. Jumbo Diaz on for the Reds. And Alien Herrera, who's been on a couple of times, has a double, scored a couple of runs. Hits a fly ball to Jay Bruce and one away. It's been a very good night for the Milwaukee shortstop, Segura. Doubled and scored in the second, singled and scored in the fourth, singled again and scored again in the fifth. Brewers rallying from 6-1 and 7-3 deficits and own a 1-run lead here in the last of the seventh inning. Logan Schaefer has moved into the on-deck circle. Badenhop did an excellent job tonight. He allowed one hit, no runs, struck out 3 in an inning and 2/3. Did I get that right? Yep.
Yes, you did.
Inning and 2/3. Six of the 9 charged to the starter, Sampson. And right now the pitcher of record in this game. First time he struggled in a long time is Pedro Villarreal. I don't know what got Chris Welsh more fired up, that Bee Gees staying alive earlier, that deep purple smoke on the water. Ground ball to Votto, and he'll handle it himself for the second out of the inning. Which of those two, Chris, gets you a little more fired up?
Without a doubt, Smoke on the Water. First song I ever learned how to play on the guitar.
Really?
First rock song. Only takes 3 chords.
Can you still do it now?
Probably so. I mean, some things you never forget. Ride a bike. Hustle to first base on a walk. And Smoke on the Water.
Very nice. Very nice. Popped up, and Jumbo takes care of Logan Schaefer on one pitch, and the Brewers in a 1-2-3 seventh. We're off to the 8th. Reds trail 9-8. Aces back on the home front. Big crowd tonight, nearly a little better than 34,000 on this Saturday night, where it's been raining pretty much off and on all day, all night. But very comfortable inside the ballpark with the roof closed up. 9-8. Milwaukee in front. And taking over on the mound, we saw him work a scoreless but shaky 8th inning last night. He did get Joey Votto to ground into a double play with 2 on to end the 8th inning, and that's Will Smith.
Well, he comes in this ball game to face a pinch hitter for Schumacher in his spot. So we're going to have Ryan Lamar, right-hander, and then a switch hitter in Tucker Barnhart.
And then Ivan De Jesus Jr. That was all part of the double switch when Schumacher, who had originally started the game, of course, came out of the game. And speaking of moving people around, they'll do so again with the Brewers. Logan Schaefer stays in the game to play center field after pinch hitting a moment ago. And the starting center fielder, Domingo Santana, will move over to left field. All right, let's see if Ryan Lamar can get something going here. Lamar started the game last night, went 0 for 3. Reds only down a run as they bat against Smith here in the top of the 8th inning. And Lamar fists one to the right side. He'll be thrown out by Jeanette. One gone. Well, as promised, it's time for us to take a look at your Strong Fan photo of the night. And you can send yours to hashtag Ohio Data Strong Fan. It's brought to you by T-Mobile. Oh, my goodness, Amy. Got some, what is that, a little blue and white in her hair there, Chris? Am I seeing that right?
Yeah, I think that I kind of like that look. You get a little blue in your hair.
I am. Yeah, by the day.
That's when it blows right past gray and white.
No
and goes
doubt.
right to blue.
That's right.
Games like this.
0-1 on Tucker Barnhart. Well, whether it's a blue light special or whatever it might be, that's okay with me. You know? Blue's a beautiful color. 0-2 on Barnhart. And he's gone swinging on a breaking ball. This Milwaukee bullpen has really done an outstanding job here tonight. Thornburg allowed a run in an inning and a third. Jimenez a scoreless inning. Jeffress a scoreless inning. And now Smith 2/3 of the way through what is in pursuit of a scoreless inning. De Jesus bounced to the third baseman against Jimenez in the 6th inning. Two and 0. Yankees leading the Braves late. They're in the bottom of the 8th inning at Fulton County Stadium. But that score is not the big story in that game. No details yet, but apparently a fan fell from the upper deck at Turner Field tonight and is in critical condition in a nearby hospital. We certainly hope and pray that situation has a better ending to it. Three and one on De Jesus, trying to keep the inning alive for Bourgeois. And he does. Yvonne draws a 2-out walk.
Well, if Jason could use the right side of the infield, he would be able to send De Jesus the third with just a ground ball over in this area. They're playing the second baseman close to the bag in case that's the only play for the guys on the left side of the infield.
Well, Jason has 3 hits tonight. He scored 3 times. All of his base hits
have been almost up the middle. A couple of them a little bit left of center, but pretty much in that gap between shortstop and second base.
Well, we know he's more than capable of hitting that ball to the right side. And Smith paying a lot of attention to De Jesus, who's really not been a threat to run at all since being brought up from Louisville. Center field, Schaefer will handle it. Brewers will bat in the bottom of the 8th, leading by a run.
It's live, the pregame edition. First look at the lineups, features, and so much more. It is Reds Live. It's brought to you by Ray St. Clair Roofing. And tomorrow, 30 minutes before the game, and then the game will feature John Lamb going to the Hill for his 4th Major League appearances, and everyone raving about how his stuff and his demeanor on the mound has certainly been better than the numbers suggest. Bright future, perhaps. Can't wait for the lefty to hurl him tomorrow. Final game of a 3-game set, and he will face on the other side. The Brewers will send Willie Peralta to the mound, the right-hander, so righty versus lefty. Reds Live at 1:30 here from Miller Park tomorrow.
Of course, that will be on 1:30 Eastern time tomorrow, just to make sure everybody is on the same page. Willie Peralta has pitched pretty well against the Reds in his career. Now, the Reds scored 6 runs in 7 innings against him when they were here earlier this year. But in his career, an ERA of 3.4 in 9 starts.
Yeah, he's had a couple of really superlative games against the Reds, memorable ones, like one-hitter types. Let's hope that John Lamb does not have to play the role of the stopper. Tomorrow, the Reds come back and win this ball game. They'll need a good inning here out of J.J. Hoover. Pitcher number 5 on the night for Brian Price. It was Sampson for 3 2/3, and Villarreal came in 2/3 of an inning there. Good job by Baden, Hopp, and Diaz back to back.
Two and two on Jeanette, who's had a big time night. 3 singles, a triple, has scored 3 times and knocked in 3 runs. How about that? Check swing, 1 hopper. Man, that had a funny look to it. You see check swings, but not like this.
I mean, if he hits it off the ground, it's really unusual to go this far. Watch this play at the plate. Oh, he hit it after it bounced. So that really should have been a fly ball out, right?
Can you believe that?
That's not a ground ball because he...
No, that's a pop-up.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
You don't see that happen very often.
No, you don't. Wow.
I mean, if a hitter can hit a pitch that hits in the ground, bounces first, why can't a pitcher get the benefit of a one that takes a good hop and comes into the strike zone? Like
why
cricket,
not?
Like cricket.
Well, I'll vote for it if you can get it up on the docket. That ball lined hard by Lucroy. It'll go all the way to the wall, rattle around that corner. And Lucroy's going to go in now and turn it on and head for third, and he'll make it. That's a tricky part of this ballpark in both left and right center. If it skips into the deepest part out there, that's 3 base hit country.
Well, the ball is really leveled on by Lucroy. And really the only hope right there for Bourgeois being able to get that ball on a fly. Once it hits that angled wall, Lucroy runs well for a catcher.
Well, he had shut it down about 3 steps from second base. And then you saw him peek over his shoulder right after he hit the second base bag, and so I get to third. So here's Braun. 1 hit and 4 at bats. And the right foot goes in. And now the left. Infield in for the Reds. They trailed 9-8 here in the 8th inning. And popped up by Braun. He's not going to get an RBI here. Lucroy's going to stay put, so Braun can't get it done. 2 away in the inning.
Well, he chased the first pitch breaking ball right there. It looked so good, but cover up Tucker Barnhart. A little angry reaction there by Ryan Braun. He almost clipped the Reds catcher.
Now Braun may be going back to vent some more of that anger out in the tunnel. And now with the runner at third and 2 men out in the inning before Adam Lind comes to the plate, Jeff Pico wearing out a path from that Reds third base side dugout to the mound tonight. Following our game tonight and after every Reds game here on Fox Sports Ohio, we invite you to please stick around for Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Hyman, Jeff Pecoro, Brian Giesenslaw, Jim Day, and Chris Welsh, all standing by for that right after this one. I want to thank our producer of Reds Baseball, Josh Hall, tonight. Our director, Brian Hunterman. Associate producers, Jim Mueller and Matt Sigafus. Our entire crew right here in Milwaukee. And we'll have 1 more to go in this series tomorrow. They've made the decision they're going to go ahead and intentionally walk Lind. He already has 2 hits and 2 RBIs. He's hit the ball very hard all 4 times up tonight.
You think that was a discussion out there as to they asked J.J. Hoover what he wanted to do? I mean, why else would Jeff Pico go to the mound? How do you feel about this guy? You want to walk him? I don't know, Jeff. How do you feel? Well, it's up to you. How's the skipper feel?
Well, it gets back to that line that when the Dodgers were in town, they told us about Zach Greinke. When Mattingly comes out to the mound and asks him a question, he looks him right in the eyes and says, I'm not going to tell you.
He's kind of mysterious.
He's a little bit more than just a little bit. He is way out there. Being pitched.
Yes, he can. So now J.J. will get a right-hander. And Jason Rogers, the pinch hitter.
Because Davis was taken out of this game, of course. This is for the pitcher. They're going to bring in their closer anyway. Two home runs, 25 hits and 116 plate appearances for Rogers. 7 runs batted in.
He was starting earlier in the year when the Reds came through here. I think he played third base one day.
Yes. Made a couple of big errors in the game.
Yeah. And he had been playing first base and outfield the entire time in the minor leagues. So when they put him in a new position, of course, the ball found him. Because I remember he had pretty good bat speed.
Yeah, that's when Aramis Ramirez was really struggling to begin this season. He was also beat up, hurt.
He had the sore elbow, I think. Well, now you've intentionally walked the left-hander, and you've got Rogers, the right-hander, and you run the count 3-0.
I guess pretty good night for the Bengals tonight. They jumped all over the Chicago Bears early on. Early 21-3 lead. Andy Dalton was injured on a quarterback sneak, a touchdown their opening drive. And as a precautionary measure, had to leave the game with a sore neck. A.J. McCarron had a lot of playing time tonight. He also threw a touchdown. Hopefully Andy Dalton is all right. One more preseason game to go for them before they tee it up for real in Oakland 2 weeks from tomorrow. Rogers, a fly ball to right. Bruce over near the line, and the inning is over. So a scoreless eighth by J.J. Reds will have one more crack on him. Bruce, Votto, and Phillips coming up against Rodriguez. Coast rivalry, the New York Red Bulls take on D.C. United tomorrow, 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1, sponsored by Audi. 9 runs, 13 hits for Milwaukee, 8 runs and 13 hits, 2 errors for the Reds. As Brian Price's team will send up the big hitters here in the top of the 9th inning. One more shot at him. And pitching for the Brewers, he's been on quite a roll, is right-hander Francisco Rodriguez.
Read an article in one of the sports internet sites today, Tom, that mentioned that Francisco Rodriguez was out on waivers and evidently not claimed, and no immediate trade in the offing for the Brewers. He is the guy that has saved them here for a while now. Converted the last 35 in a row, the longest streak in the major leagues.
Reds saw K-Rod in the game here last night. Retired the side in order. Frazier, Suarez, and Bruce. Well, you think about all those years ago. You go back to 2002 is when they brought up Rodriguez. They were able to pull it off where, because of an injury, they were able to bring him up at the end of September for the final week of the year. There's a base hit into center field by Bruce. So a good way to get it started. Well, they brought him up, you may remember, and he had not been in the big leagues all year long. And the next thing you know, he turns into their primary setup man in front of Troy Percival, and the Angels end up winning the World Series that year.
Now, back in those days, he was an extremely hard thrower. I mean, he was throwing mid-90s to high 90s before just about anybody else was. And he had that big, hard overhand curveball that he would just throw with a full effort, and it was snapping off a table.
One end of the count, and Joey takes outside. Two-0 delivery to Joey Votto. Nope. Throw over to first. Rodriguez that year in 2002 went from Double-A to Triple-A. He pitched in 5 total games in the regular season in 2002. 5 of them. The last 2 weeks. Then he went on the division series, pitched in 3 games as they defeated the New York Yankees. Got 2 wins in that series. I mean, think about that. He gets to the LCS. He gets 2 more wins against Minnesota. And you're talking about all of that in his first 12 games in the major leagues. Then in the World Series, won a game, lost a game. Votto, a high, towering fly ball left field. Goodbye. Votto delivers a clutch 2-run home run to left field. And just like that, the Reds lead by a run. Oh, doctor, is that a big one?
Wow. Well, he was trying, you could tell on the first swing and miss that he had on a 2-0 pitch. He was looking for something to lift and separate, and man, did he ever do it, going out the back door.
That is a big-time home run by Votto. How about that? Votto, number 25, knocked in 3 runs in a game tonight on 3 base hits. Well, as soon as it left the bat, well, you knew it was crushed. So did he.
Yeah, he sure did.
And it gets back to something Jim Day in his conversation yesterday before the game with Joey Votto. When they talked for quite some time. Jim, I don't know if you're still available down there in the Reds dugout, but you know, perhaps some of the fans weren't around when you talked to Votto about how much he loves hitting in his ballpark.
It's the sight lines. It's all about that background. Big, giant, black background. And he likes it. Very comfortable. It's all about, as you guys know, if you feel comfortable in that box, it goes a long way.
Well, Jim Day, you were all over that before the game ever started yesterday in your chat with Joey, and he had a single, 2 walks in the game yesterday. Was very upset about bouncing into that double play late. He was really upset about his first at bat tonight when he came up with second and third and nobody out, was called up on strikes. But since then, single, RBI single, hit a line drive and almost knocked over the third baseman who caught it. And now the 2-run home run propelling the Reds into the lead. And Rodriguez is not retired of batting. Chris brought up earlier, Francisco had converted 35 straight save chances, including all 30 this year. His last blown save until tonight was on August the 27th, 1 year and 2 days ago in San Diego's Petco Park. Still nobody out. As Frazier will bat, he's also homered in the game tonight. Reds have 3 of them. Bruce a 3-run blast. Frazier a solo home run. That's a nice play right there by Herrera. And they give the lead runner Phillips at second base. For a guy who's bounced around a lot, Herrera's not a bad looking little player. I don't know about an everyday player, but he's not a bad-looking player.
Well, he can play around a lot of different positions, and he's getting a lot of playing time over there at third base and does a really nice job on that play. That's very similar to the catch anyway, the fielding play that Todd Frazier turned against the Brewers earlier tonight.
Here's Eugenio Suarez, and he's down a strike. Suarez 1 of 4, singled and scored back in the 4-run second inning. 10 runs, 15 hits for the Reds. 9 runs, 13 hits for the Brewers. And of course, Milwaukee will have to face that man right there. The Reds closing. Aroldis Chapman. He's only blown 2 saves all year long. And Chapman will get the ball for the first time in a long time to try and save a game. The last save opportunity he had, the only one on the homestand, was against Kansas City, a 1-0 lead after Iglesias came out of the game. And you may recall the first batter in that 9th inning, Ben Zobrist, hit a home run off of it. The first time Chapman had blown a save at home since 2012. Chapman has not saved a game since the 8th of this month. Strike 3 to Suarez. That was the second game of that West Coast swing when the Reds beat the Arizona Diamondbacks on August the 8th. 21 days ago. And he's only had 1 save chance since then. Pulled into right field, a base hit by Pena. That will send Frazier on to third base. So Brian Pena comes off the bench to bat for the pitcher Hoover. And this Reds inning continues. They have 3 hits and a walk, 2 runs against Rodriguez. The ball gets away from the catcher. And the runner is safe. Frazier actually slid short of the plate. But by the time Rodriguez caught the ball and looked to try and make the tag, his first whiff allowed Frazier then to step on the plate.
Well, he was watching the daring dancing do by Brian Pena last week. Coming up short. They make a good dance team, Frazier and Pena.
Yes.
Dan Bellino staying right on that call before he sees Frazier touch the plate and score the run.
Boy, that's a nice additional run here in this inning to make it a 2-run game. So here's Tucker Barnhart. And the pitch on the way is on the outside corner, a strike. Fastball to Belt, strike 2 call. Now here's the one that has Chris Welsh moving more than any of the others. We can talk about staying alive, talk about smoke on the water, but then certainly the #1 selection on Chris Welsh's iPad would be Ice Ice Baby.
How'd you get the code to get into my iPad anyway?
Just looking over your shoulder all the time up here. 2-2. Who's that song by? Vanilla Ice. Nice. That was the song of choice of one-time Arizona Diamondbacks closer, Matt Manti. Ice, Ice, Baby.
It's funny what you remember from those days in Arizona.
It is. It's funny. Swinging a foul ball back out of play. Well, they won a lot of games. You heard that song a lot. I'll tell you, it'd be hard to listen to Francisco Rodriguez song when he comes in, though. Now, it's a Spanish singing song. So, you know, I mean, I don't understand the words, but they really turn it up very loud here.
Well, players sometimes request that.
Yeah, they do. 2-2 pitch. Francisco is scuffling here tonight.
Yeah, he's having a rough time, especially with his breaking pitches. And now he relies on those really more than ever. That last pitch was a changeup. He still has a big overhand curveball. Be nice to pick up another run right here with a base hit.
Here's a 3-2 pitch on Tucker Barnhart. And he'll do just that. They're going to wave around Pena. Here comes the throw way offline. And Tucker Barnhart picks up that run batted in. And it's a 3-run lead. And that's going to be it for Rodriguez. Craig Counsell's going to come get him. So Rodriguez is touched up for a blown save for the first time all year long. For the first time in a year and a couple of days. And they're not even going to let him finish this inning. Reds lead 12-9. Closer Francisco Rodriguez. Reds came into this inning down a run. They now lead by 3 runs as they have scored 4 times. Rodriguez, 2/3 of an inning, allows 4 hits, a walk, 4 runs, all earned. And of course, Barnhart belongs to him out at second base. De Jesus, the 8th man to bat in the inning. Well, this has not been a Reds team that for most of this year has, gotten off the mat. When they've been down, come from behind victories are few and far between. But Votto, after the leadoff single by Bruce here in the ninth, hits a towering home run to left field, giving the Reds a lead. Then a walk, fielder's choice, a base hit by Pena. Barnhart knocks in a run. They score a run on a wild pitch in this inning. Oh, and 1 to count. And Goforth misses down low. David Goforth last pitched last Saturday, 1 week ago today, against the Nationals in 2 1/3 innings, allowed 2 hits and a run. Was brought up from AAA Colorado Springs on the 14th of August. The ball's fouled out of play. Been a busy man down at AAA. And you pitch in that league, and especially in that city of Colorado Springs, and in 38 games, This guy had a 2.6 ERA. There's nothing wrong with that.
Boy, Jonathan Lucroy, he's got to be happy his arm is still attached after trying to flag down that high fastball. Tucker Barnard out at second base thinking, I've been there trying to flag down some of those coming from Aroldis Chapman.
Three balls and two strikes on Ivan De Jesus. Be just a second win in the last 15 games if the Reds can nail it down with Chapman in the bottom of the ninth. To the shortstop, and this profitable ninth inning comes to an end. The Reds score 4, and now Chapman trying to save a game for the first time since the 8th of August. The big blow off the bat of your home improvement needs, and by your local Toyota dealers, proud sponsor of the Cincinnati Reds. Joey Votto, a 2-run home run, bringing the Reds from down a run to in front by a run. They tack on 2 more in a 4-run ninth and lead by 3, and here's a big fella.
Well, we've been waiting to see him for quite a while, especially in this situation. You mentioned it, Tom. Early August was the last time he was out there to try to nail down a save. 51 innings, which is about what he pitched last year for Chapman. Earned run average about a quarter of a run lower than it ended up for 2014.
Right now, J.J. Hoover is the pitcher of record for the Redlegs, and of course Rodriguez would be for the Brewers. Ground ball down to third. Frazier will take care of Domingo Santana, 1 away. Here's Herrera. Well, he's been on base twice. He scored twice, a walk and a double. He's also bounced to short and flied to right. Reds scoring for the first time since the 5th inning. They scored in 4 of the first 5 innings. Only the 3rd where they shut down. But then the Brewers bullpen really worked them over. The trio of Jimenez, Jefferson, Smith, and for that matter, Thornburg. He only allowed 1 run. They got 4 1/3 innings of 2-hit, 1-run baseball before their closer, Rodriguez, gives it up in the 9th. 1-1 on Alien Herrera. Slider, he missed it by 1.5 feet.
It just goes to show you, Tommy, even you get a closer like Rodriguez, who is on such a roll, 35 straight. And there's always a measure of uncertainty when you go to the bullpen. You really never know for certain. Although the Reds have a guy that has been pretty good throughout the course of his career on the mound tonight. And that's a nasty breaking ball.
2 in a row to get Herrera swinging. So now Chapman. An out away from his 25th save and 27 chances. And again, his first converted save chance since the 8th of August in Arizona. Aroldis Chapman this month only has 3 saves all month. So 190 pitches have been thrown in this game. And that's just by Reds pitchers. 190. That is the most in a 9-inning game this season.
There's got to be about that many for the Brewers too. So if you're behind the plate tonight and you're looking at all those pitches, Dan Bellino is going to get a grade on it tonight.
Look at the top 3, all against Milwaukee. Well, the crowd cannot believe that was called a strike. Neither can Segura. I mean, that had to be vapor lock right there. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Did he go around? No.
Trying to even the score a little bit,
I reckon. That fastball at 101 miles per hour by Chapman. Of course, there were a few days there in the month of August where Chapman was unavailable to pitch. "3-2 came with a gas and struck him out. 101 miles per hour. A wild one here tonight. Reds had a big lead. They gave it up. They went very quiet. And then a Bruce base hit followed by a bomb by Votto. Gave him the lead in the top of the 9th, and they hang on to win. Chapman his first save since the 8th of August. All right. So the Reds have a chance to win this series. That's coming up tomorrow. But right now it's time for Reds Live, the post-game version. Let's send it back to the guys in Cincinnati.